Chapter 1152. Life is about exercise. Who said this? As soon as the host finished speaking, Song Yisher immediately answered, Voltaire. The best time to eat fruit? Between meals, Song Yisher answered again. Which dynasty did the four-sheep cube come from? Shang. Song Yisher answered immediately again. Wow, that's amazing. Miss Song got all of them right. After the host finished speaking, the audience burst into applause. Then, the host purposely looked at Huamin and smiled. Mrs. Qin, you have to do your best too. Huamin looked at Song Yisher and thought it was funny. She looked at the answers in advance and then came up to show off. What was the point of that? Huamin looked at the host and replied thoughtfully, I'm not in a hurry. I'll let Miss Song perform. Next, please listen to the question. Which publishing house was the first to film in China? It was a business publishing house. Song Yisher answered again. For the first time in human history, Marx created historical materialism. Song Yisher said proudly and confidently. Huamin didn't answer a single question. From the looks of it, she didn't seem like she was going to answer a single question. Not only does human consciousness reflect the objective world, but it also creates the objective world. This is, the host asked. Dialectical materialism. Song Yisher answered loudly. All right, the host announced with a smile. Another thunderous roar came from the audience. Mrs. Qin, is your answering machine broken? The host asked mockingly. Immediately, the audience below the stage laughed along with him. Some people even whispered, what kind of genius girl is she? She's just SOSO. She didn't even answer a single question. Song Goddess answered all of them. In my opinion, the Song Goddess is the real genius. She must be a fake genius. Yeah. If President Qin finds out that he married a fake genius, he'll probably cry himself to death. Below the stage, everyone was talking at once. But on the stage, the two armies were still facing off against each other. Song Yisher's face was filled with pride. According to her plan, this was how it should be. My responder isn't broken, Huamin said with a smile. Then why didn't you answer any of the questions? Do you not know how to do it? The host asked with ulterior motives. No, it's just that it's too simple. I don't think it's necessary to answer it. It's just child's play. Huamin smiled. As soon as he finished speaking, Song Yisher's expression changed slightly. This was a blatant insult to her. Wow, this Huamin really knows how to boast. Such a difficult question, and he said it was too easy. How pretentious. Maybe Lady Qin is the real deal. Let's wait and see. A couple in the audience murmured softly. Because the show was live, a lot of people were watching their performance on TV. Qin Shu turned on the TV as he worked. Whenever Huamin's camera was on, he would look up and gently look at her. Sir, what's wrong with the young lady? Why isn't she answering? She's so impatient. She's holding back. Qin Shu knew Huamin too well. Therefore, he wasn't worried that his wife would lose inside the president's office at Imperial Star headquarters. Su Yu was still working overtime. President Su, there's an executive meeting in 5 minutes. His female secretary whispered. Cancel it. Are we really canceling? The female secretary was a little dumbfounded. She thought to herself, then what's the point of working so late? Su Yu couldn't take his eyes off the live broadcast. He waved his hand and sent the female secretary away. Half an hour ago, Tang Chuan's lackey called and told him to turn on the TV and watch the local live broadcast. However, he suspiciously turned on the TV. As expected, Huamin was on the live broadcast. She even became Song Yisher's enemy and had an ultimate battle with her. Su Yu's heart was in his mouth. Because it was a live broadcast, so many people were watching. He was really afraid that she would lose to Song Yisher. Chapter 1153. Jiang Xiaowei was also extremely anxious at home. If it weren't for Wei Liao stopping her, she would have gone to the event as a group of friends and family. Slightly calm down, okay? Huamin will definitely win. Wei Liao tried his best to persuade her. What do you know? Can't you tell? Bitch Song obviously knows the answer. That's why she answered so quickly. Huamin was set up. Do you know that? But I believe in Hua means inhuman IQ. Even if he was set up, he would still be able to turn the situation around. Song Yisher is definitely no match for him. Huh? What you said makes sense. After Jiang Xiaowei calmed down, she analyzed what Wei Liao said and realized that he was right. What kind of person was Huo Min? He was someone who could deal with anything calmly without batting an eyelid. Song Yisher wouldn't put herself in an awkward position with this little trick, right? So, don't worry, let's not go out, okay? The temperature outside is minus 20 degrees Celsius. You're pregnant now, so don't torture yourself, my dear. The entire Wei family was paying close attention to Jiang Xiaowei's pregnancy. Wei Liao was also afraid that something would go wrong. Plus, with Jiang Xiaowei's current condition, what could she do if she went to the TV station? How could she interrupt a live broadcast? Wouldn't that be useless? After thinking about it, Wei Liao's words made sense, so Jiang Xiaowei finally calmed down. Wei Liao waved his hand and dismissed the maids. Then, he carried Jiang Xiaowei and continued watching the live broadcast. His excitement was on par with watching the Olympics. Zhu Lingling was on the plane, so she couldn't watch the live broadcast. However, it would be a shame if she missed such an exciting scene. Therefore, Gao Ran cleverly turned on the recording function and planned to show it to Zhu Lingling as soon as she got off the plane. Just as Wei Liao thought, Gao Ran was very confident in Huo Min. He was confident that a woman as strong as Huo Mian wouldn't be defeated by Song Yisher. Auntie, cousin is on TV. Over at Sky Blessing Court, Yang Xiaoping was eating a banana as she pointed at the TV. Yang's tea. Yang's S's. Why didn't you tell me? I almost missed it. What's this show? I think it's a competition to see who's smarter is smarter. Yang's analyzed the situation's words. So, Yang Meiyerong and her niece began to watch TV in fear. Huo Min originally thought that it was just a show, so she didn't take it seriously. However, she didn't expect so many people to pay attention to her during the live broadcast. Song Yisher was even more vicious. She worked with the director and host to ruin Huo Min's reputation. She couldn't stay calm anymore and was ready to fight back. Mrs. Qin, you're right. Our questions aren't simple. You can't slander our show just because you can't answer them. The host was obviously using Song Yisher to step on Huo Min. How about this? Since this is a live broadcast, everyone knows that it's not fake. Why don't we do something more fun? Ow! Song Yisher looked at Huo Min cautiously. We'll ask each other questions live. You give me a question, and I'll give you a question. How about this? We'll each give you 10 questions. Song Yisher was a little scared at this moment. If this wasn't arranged by the show, Huo Min's questions would be very difficult. Even if she thought that she was smart, she might not be able to win. Huo Min put Song Yisher in a difficult spot. Chapter 1154. Seeing that Song Yisher was hesitating, Huo Min continued, Of course, this is just my suggestion. If Miss Song doesn't want to play, it's fine. I can let you win or lose to you. Anyway, the questions given by the production team are quite simple. Huo Min was implying that even if she won, it would be unfair because the questions were too simple. This time, Song Yisher couldn't sit still anymore. I accept your suggestion. Miss Song. The host seemed to want to stop Song Yisher from accepting the challenge. It's fine, just do as she says. In front of so many people, Song Yisher still cared about her face. So, she was easily goaded into action by Huo Min. If the two of them asked each other, the possibility of them winning was very high. After all, who knew how far it would go? There was no way to predict the outcome. Backstage, director Wang Shui's expression changed slightly. Miss Song has fallen into a trap. She's probably going to lose. Not following the program team's plan flow was a form of protection in itself. Huo Min was the real deal, while Song Yisher was the one who was packaged. Accepting the challenge didn't benefit Song Yisher at all. After accepting the challenge, Song Yisher actually felt a little regretful, but there was nothing she could do. There were so many people watching the live broadcast. Even if she died, she had to bite the bullet. Song Goddess, you can do it. We believe in you. A fan raised a sign and shouted. Beautiful and kind, sure is the strongest. Beautiful and kind, sure is the strongest. There were even brainless fans shouting funny slogans at this juncture. Song Yisher was so angry that she cursed these idiots in her heart. Huo Min on the other hand, had a faint smile on his face. Qin Shu, who was sitting in front of the TV, gently looked at Huamin's face. He liked to see Huamin smile like this. Calm, confident, and calm. Qin Shu stared at the TV as if he couldn't get enough of it. "A young lady, you can do it. A young lady, you can do it." Yang jokingly shouted slogans on the side. At the same time, in a rented apartment in the suburbs, Ning Ziyuan was curled up on the bed and looked at the woman on the TV. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. Once, this girl was so close to him, but later, because he wanted to marry into a rich family's family, he hooked up with Wu Xiaoxue and then had an affair with Iman. He had missed his best chance with Huamian. He thought that if Qin Shu hadn't come back, they wouldn't have been separated. In fact, his character in the end, Huamin wouldn't end, Ning Ziyuan. That was because there was a problem with his character. Which normal university student would go out to have sex with prostitutes during school? Even if his girlfriend didn't sleep with him, he couldn't find an excuse for his disgusting behavior. Today, Huamin had become an unreachable figure, living at the top of the circle. She followed Qin Shu to attend all kinds of ceremonies and banquets. When she was working, she was also the most outstanding young doctor. Ning Ziyuan, on the other hand, abandoned himself to work in a small private hospital. He swindled patients and earned some money. Then, he gambled with Iman. He lost all his money, then earned some money, then gambled again. To him, there was no hope in life. And he brought all of this upon himself. What? Are you looking at your ex again? Stop looking. She's a rich girl now. You're miles away from her. Don't think about her. Even if you kneel down and beg her, she won't even look at a drowning dog like you. Iman opened the door and came in. She took off her suspenders and sneered at him with her upper body naked. It's none of your business. Shut up. Ning Ziyuan glared at Iman unhappily. On the TV, the host finally agreed to Huamin's request and allowed them to ask each other questions. Then, Miss Song, please ask the question first. The host was very biased and gave the opportunity to ask the first question to Song Yisher. If Song Yisher's question was difficult enough and Huamin couldn't answer, then Huamin would be an unpresentable person. Chapter 1155. Song Yisher glared at Huamin with hatred and slowly opened her mouth. What's the ratio of grain to grain? 1 to 2. Huamin answered. Correct, the host announced as he held his forehead. Next, it's Mrs. Qin's turn to ask a question. In honor of the Olympics, I'll ask you a simple question related to the Olympics. Who is the champion of the men's singles table tennis at the 2008 Olympics? Huamin asked with a smile. This question was actually very simple. Even the audience knew the answer. However, Song Yisher clearly hesitated for a moment. She claimed to be patriotic and had a China complex, but she didn't even consider the most basic question. The amazing thing was, after 3 seconds of consideration, she answered, Zhang Jike. As soon as she finished speaking, the entire audience gasped. No one expected her to answer such a simple question incorrectly. Huamin smiled. 8 years ago, it wasn't Zhang Jike. The champion was Ma Lin. Even the host couldn't stand it anymore and reminded her, Miss Song, Ma Lin and Wang Hao were in the singles final. They were both outstanding players in our country, and Ma Lin won in the end. I remembered wrong. Song Yisher tried to find an excuse for herself without batting an eyelid. Next, it's Miss Song's turn to ask a question. Song Yisher. When was the computer invented? Huamin, 1946. Correct, the host confirmed. Huamin, what was the earliest term for a groom? Song Yisher, a man who got married. Wrong. The earliest term for a groom was for a new scholar. The host corrected her. Song Yisher coughed softly, feeling a little awkward. The scene was also extremely silent. Song Yisher, does a fish have a heart? Huamin, yes. Correct. Huamin, do newborns have tears? Song Yisher, yes. Wrong. When a newborn baby cries, there are no tears. In front of the TV, Yang laughed and said, I feel embarrassed for Miss Song. A young lady is too awesome. Song Yisher, if you were to boil a pot of water on a spaceship, how long would it take to boil it? Huamin, it will never boil. Huamin asked, How many kilometers is a light year? Song Isher, 100,000 kilometers. Wrong, it's 9. 460 billion kilometers, Huamin corrected. Mrs. Chin is right. The host couldn't bear to look at Song Isher and felt slightly embarrassed. The audience fell silent once again. 4 questions had already passed, but Song Isher hadn't answered a single question correctly, while Huamin had answered all of them correctly. This was indeed a little embarrassing. Song Isher, who invented the world's first telescope? Huamin, Galileo. Huamin, which year was penicillin invented? Song Isher, 1 to 1966. Wrong, it was 1928. Huamin corrected her. That doesn't count. Medical questions are your forte. You did it on purpose. Song Isher was a little angry from embarrassment. Huamin smiled, but didn't say anything. Song Isher, famous tennis player. Schiavone, which country is he from? Huamin, Italy. Song Isher was slightly surprised. Huamin asked her back. In the 4 books and 5 classics, the 4 books refer to the Analects of Confucius, the Great Learning, and the Doctrine of the Mean. Which other books are there? Song Isher looked like she was in a dilemma. The Tao Te Ching, she replied. Some of the straight students in the audience laughed out loud. Some people couldn't help but wonder if Miss Song really liked Chinese classical literature. Shouldn't a master of Chinese painting learn about ancient history? Miss Song, the real answer is Mencius. The host couldn't stand it anymore and reminded her. I know, I just remembered wrong. Her reason was a little far-fetched. Song Isher, who was the original singer of the song Every Time, Bobby No More Time? Huamin, Britney Spears. Huamin immediately asked, who won the 1993 Nobel Prize for? Song Isher was a little embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Even I know such a simple question, but Miss Song doesn't know. A girl in the audience muttered to herself. Miss Song, you have one chance to ask the audience for help. The host kindly reminded her. Chapter 11:56. Song Isher bit her lip and finally said slowly, I'll ask the audience for help. Then, she pointed at a chubby girl. The girl was wearing glasses and looked very cute. She stood up and answered in a loud voice. It's South Africa's greatest leader, Mandela. The host nodded in satisfaction. Correct. Up until now, both sides had asked a total of 7 questions. Huamin got all of them correct, and Song Isher's only correct answer was when she asked the audience for help. It was a bit ironic. More and more voices of doubt began to appear. Didn't Miss Song study abroad for many years and have a lot of knowledge? How come she doesn't even know the basics? Yeah, I think it's strange too. She seems to know a lot, but Mrs. Chin seems to know everything. What a surprise. Yeah, there's no way to cheat in live interrogations like this. It's a test of one's IQ. Lady Chin is so smart. She's so young and never studied abroad. I heard that her university isn't a famous one, but she knows a lot. Just then, Song Isher asked angrily, which movie did Nicole Kidman win the 2003 Academy Award for Best Actress? Before Huamin could answer, Jiang Xiaowei, who was sitting in front of the TV, was furious. Fuck, this bitch Song is so shameless. She said that Huamin was bullying her when he asked her about her medical knowledge. Now, she knows that Mian never studied abroad, but she keeps asking about English songs and movies. She's such a scheming bitch, a bitch. Jiang Xiaowei was so angry that she cursed Song Isher for being despicable and shameless. To her surprise, Huamin calmly answered, that movie is The Hours. Correct, the host confirmed. Huamin continued to ask, in Ong Lee's movie, The Teenage Fantasy Drifting, what species was the tiger that the male lead drifted on the sea for 227 days? Siberian tiger. Song Isher stuttered. Huamin was amused by Song Isher. Sister, that's a Bengal tiger. Thank you. The crowd laughed as well. This made Song Isher very embarrassed. Gao Ran held a can of Coke and said as he watched TV, Mayor Song's daughter is too fucking stupid. She has a good life ahead of her. Why is she looking for trouble? Are you a masochist? Do you feel uncomfortable if you don't get tortured for a day? Song Isher then asked, Which of Garcia Marquez's works is hailed as a masterpiece that reproduces the historical and social landscape of Latin America? Huamin, 100 Years of Loneliness. Huamin immediately asked, which famous Russian author wrote The Hunter's Notebook and The Aristocrat's Home? Leo Tolstoy. Song Isher replied without hesitation. Leo Tolstoy's works are Anna Karenina and War and Peace. Did you mix them up, Miss Song? The correct answer should be Turgenev. That's his famous work. Huamin looked at Song Isher speechlessly. If he knew that she was so weak, he wouldn't have wasted his time talking to her. After Huamin finished speaking, everyone roared with laughter again. I think Miss Song is so embarrassed. She was completely destroyed by Mrs. Chin. Are they really good friends? They don't look like it. A girl in the audience quietly asked. Who knows? But now I know that the so-called top student who came back from abroad is just SOSO. She's not even as good as our local genius, Mrs. Chin. The boy next to her laughed. Amidst the mocking laughter, Song Isher angrily threw out her last question. In the 1930s, when the American economic crisis broke out, who was President Roosevelt's predecessor? Such an unpopular question really put people in a difficult position. No one in the audience knew, and some busybodies even took out their phones to search Baidu. Huamin immediately answered, Hoover. Correct. The host was about to praise Huamin. Since Song Isher was so despicable and asked such an unpopular question, Huamin decided not to be merciful. He would torture her until the end. Therefore, he racked his brains and asked the last question. In Exai Bodhisattva's book of Bodhisattva, what's the next sentence? Chapter 1157. I want to ask the audience for help. Song Isher said awkwardly. After the host heard this, he felt even more awkward. Miss Song, you only have one chance to ask for help, and you've already used it. Then, I don't know. Song Isher didn't know much about ancient Chinese poetry. If it was a popular poem, then it was fine. For example, Hoeing the Grain at Noon, or Bright Moonlight on the Bed. She didn't know anything about these unpopular poems. The correct answer is, after all, I'm going east. After Huamin finished speaking, the audience once again erupted in applause. Huamin answered all 10 questions correctly. Song Isher only answered one question correctly, and it was to ask the audience for help. When she wanted to ask the audience for help again, she was told that she only had one chance. This was fucking awkward. This time, Song Isher was truly beaten to a pulp. In Gao Rant's words, Miss Song was too stubborn. Why did she have to compete with Huamin in terms of brains? Wasn't she digging her own grave? Huamin was never someone who liked to cause trouble, but if others wanted to bully her, there was no way she would let them. This time, she beat Song Isher at her own game. Song Isher was humiliated in front of the entire nation on the live broadcast. She was utterly humiliated. Huamin, on the other hand, proved that she was witty and humorous. She was able to answer all sorts of weird questions fluently. She also reacted extremely quickly. This was the key. Next, let's congratulate Mrs. Chin for winning $1 million. Mrs. Chin, are you willing to donate to the needy? I am. Huamin nodded her head and expressed her attitude on the spot. Actually, the production team wouldn't be so generous as to donate any money. Song Isher was the one who paid the $1 million out of her own pocket. She purposely created this show to embarrass Huamin, but she didn't expect that she would be the one to fall into her own trap. In Jiang Shaowei's words, Bitch Song's IQ is down and needed to be recharged. In Zhu Lingling's words, anyone who dared to challenge Mian's intelligence basically had a bad ending. In front of the TV, Su Yu finally breathed a sigh of relief. He put down the pen in his hand, got up, and walked out of the office. Huamin, this damn girl, really did not let people live in peace. Even if she did not live by his side, he could always see her every move. It was as if she had become a part of his life. When they went backstage to remove their makeup, Huamin and Song Isher entered 2 separate dressing rooms. Miss Song, Wang Shui had just said these 3 words and didn't have time to finish her sentence. Song Isher slapped Wang Shui across the face, making her see stars. Trash. What was the plan? How'd it end up like this? I'm so embarrassed today. If my dad saw this, he would be furious. Song Yishu cursed angrily, blaming all the mistakes on Wang Shui. She thought that this plan would definitely work and even gave this woman a bottle of VVO perfume. Now, it seemed that not only was her plan ruined, she was the one who embarrassed herself in the end. How could Song Yishu take this lying down? Miss Song, before, we said that we would ask the questions according to our own questions. You memorized the answers before, so we thought that it would be foolproof. Who would have thought that you would agree to a live Q&A with Mrs. Chin at the last minute? We couldn't control that kind of situation. Plus, this is a live show, not a recorded show. We can't even edit it. Wang Shui also looked innocent and wronged. She did try her best. Okay? However, Song Yishu was tricked by Min at the last minute. So how could she be blamed? She could only blame Song Yishu for being stupid. Okay? So you're saying that you're blaming me? Song Yishu glared at Wang Shui and questioned. Chapter 1158. Upon seeing Song Yishu flip out, the director immediately waved her hand. No, I didn't mean that. I just wanted to say that this was an accident. It wasn't under our control. Miss Song, don't be too angry. Of course, I was laughed at by so many people. How can I not be angry? I knew you were a useless piece of trash. I think you guys don't want to work anymore. Miss Song, please don't be angry. We'll make sure nothing goes wrong in the future. Do you think there will be a future? Song Yishu raged in the dressing room, smashing everything in the room to pieces. Min was in another dressing room removing her makeup when she heard the commotion. What's that sound from next door? Min asked. I think Miss Song is angry. What's there to be angry about? You should read more books when you have time. Min smiled. Wasn't beating Song Yishu a piece of cake? It was so easy that she didn't even want to do it. Mrs. Chin, can I have your autograph? The makeup artist held up a small notebook and looked at her with admiration. Min felt a little awkward. I admire you so much. I used to be in second high, but I wasn't good at my studies. My family paid for me to go there. Haha, I didn't get into a good university, so I went to a vocational school to study makeup. But I know you're the pride of second high. You were so strong on stage just now. I admire you so much. The makeup artist said a lot, making Min feel a little embarrassed. She picked up a small notebook and signed her autograph. After removing her makeup, she changed into her down jacket and walked out. As soon as she walked out, she saw the Maybach parked in the most obvious spot. Chin Chu saw Min come out, so he opened the car door and walked out with a cup of hot milk tea in his hand. Honey, thank you. Chin Chu walked over and handed her the hot milk tea. Thank you, Mr. Chin. Min took the milk tea, his heart filled with warmth. She couldn't help but give Chin Chu a quick kiss on the cheek. She swore that she really didn't want to show off her love on purpose, but Song Yishu happened to see this scene. She followed Min out. When she saw Chin Chu walking over, she wanted to greet him. In the end, the young couple was drinking milk tea and kissing at the door. Her face instantly darkened. Did you drive from home? Min didn't expect Chin Chu to drive to pick her up. I happened to be working overtime, so I came to pick you up right after work. Honey, if you spoil me like this, I won't be able to leave you. Min smiled sweetly. That's my ultimate goal. Chin Chu smirked. Mr. Chin is so evil. You even set your own wife up. The young couple flirted at the door, but Song Yishu avoided them and walked straight to her car. After what happened today, she didn't want to stay any longer. To her surprise, Min suddenly turned around and called out to her, Miss Song. Song Yishu turned around, not knowing what Min wanted her to do. I have a few books of 300 poems from the Tang and Song dynasties at home. Do you want to read them? I can send them to you tomorrow. No, thank you. Song Yishu's face darkened as she turned around to leave. After Song Yishu drove away, Chin Chu lovingly reached out and scratched her little nose. I didn't know my wife could be so good at torturing people. Huh, what? Do you feel bad for her? Yeah, I feel bad for you. Why didn't you do something earlier? Why did you let her be so arrogant for so long? Chin Chu held her hand as he opened the car door for Min to sit in the passenger seat. Huh, honey, I drove here myself. Huamin immediately reminded him. It's okay. I'll get someone from the company to drive you back. Then, Qin Chu drove Huamin out of the TV station. What do you want to eat? I'll celebrate with you. Qin Chu asked gently. Celebrate me torturing Song? Yi sure? Huamin asked proudly. What else? Ha! Honey, is it okay for you to be so direct? Miss Song will cry. As the two chatted, Huamin's phone suddenly rang. Mian, come back right now. Yang Meirong hung up before Huamin could say anything. Chapter 11:59. It's over. We won't be able to eat supper or celebrate. What's wrong? Qin Chu tilted his head and looked at Huamin. My mom called and asked me to go home right now. I'm guessing she saw me on TV and is going to scold me again. It's okay, I'll go with you. Then, Qin Chu drove straight to Sky Blessing Court, Huamin's mother's home. Sister Huamin, you're here. Yang Xiaoping opened the door. Her eyes lit up when she saw Qin Chu behind Huamin. Brother-in-law, you're here too? She greeted him. Qin Chu nodded slightly, but didn't say anything. Qin Chu was a man of few words. Other than Huamin, he rarely spoke more than 3 sentences to anyone else. Of course, work was an exception. Therefore, Assistant Yang always thought that he was very lucky. His boss was a big shot, and other than a young lady, he was the one who talked the most. This was also a form of favor in disguise. Mom, you were looking for me? Huamin walked in, took off the scarf around her neck, and took off her down jacket. The winter wind was bone-chilling, but it was spring inside the house. Young Meirong loved potted plants, so the living room on the first floor was filled with green plants. Devil's ivy, tiger orchid, fortune tree, fugue bamboo, and smooth sailing. After taking off her down jacket, Huamin picked up the watering can and went to water the fortune tree. Yang Meirong seemed to be cooking in the kitchen, so she immediately walked out when she heard her daughter's voice. Mian, I just saw you on TV. That was a live broadcast. Did I look good on camera, Mom? Huamin asked with a cute smile. I told you to keep a low profile, didn't I? Don't be so ostentatious. Fame scares people. Yang Meirong tried to persuade her daughter. Mom, it's okay, I only did it once, and it was an entertainment program, haha. Huamin listened to his mother's nagging as he watered the flowers in order to prove that he was fine. He had to play along and smile foolishly to reassure his mother. Qin Chu is here too? Yang Meirong finally noticed Qin Chu, who was sitting on the sofa. Auntie. Qin Chu nodded and greeted her. You're still calling me Auntie? Mr. Qin, are you sleepwalking? Huamin turned around and asked. Qin Chu immediately understood. Then he shyly looked at Yang Meirong and called out Mom. Yang Meirong was embarrassed. She was used to Qin Chu calling her Auntie, so it was quite unexpected for him to call her Mom. Mom, why are you still standing there like an idiot? Hurry up and pay the money, Huamin joked. Right. Look at me, I forgot. Then Yang Meirong slapped her forehead and ran up to the second floor. I was kidding, she really did go. Huamin put down the watering can and stood up. Sister Huamin, have you and my brother-in-law had dinner yet? Yang Xiaoping suddenly asked. Not yet. Is there food at home? Yes, my Annie, and I made pig trotter soup. It's really good. I'll get you guys a bowl. Okay. Huamin nodded, but she noticed that Yang Xiaoping said she made pig trotter soup with her Annie. However, Huamin knew that it was her mother's specialty, and she had never learned it. How did Yang Xiaoping learn it? Why did she have to emphasize that she made it with her mother? Was she trying to show how virtuous she was? She knew everything. Soon, Yang Meirong rushed downstairs with a big red envelope in her hand. It was really big. She carefully handed it to Qin Chu. Here, take it. Auntie. Mom, it's okay. Qin Chu was too old to take money from an elder. Take it. It's a little something from me. Mom's giving it to you, so take it. Huamin smiled. Qin Chu finally took the red envelope. It was really heavy. Hey, rich mom, let me guess how much you put in it. It's 10,001 yuan, right? Huamin walked up behind Yang Meirong and asked coyly as he wrapped his arms around her neck. Chapter 1160. Yang Meirong was obviously a little embarrassed, so she smiled but didn't say anything. Huamin grabbed Qin Chu's red envelope and opened it. Whoa, this is more than 10,000 yuan, right? Huamin asked. I put 20,000 yuan inside. Yang Meiyerong smiled. Then she continued, Qin Chu, take it. I know you're rich, but it's yours. This is my personal savings, and I only manage to save it because Mion always gives me her salary. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to give you so much. But I know this money is nothing to you, so it's just a token of my appreciation. Qin Chu, I hope you don't think it's too little. I won't, thank you, Mom. Qin Chu was a little touched. It was just a token of her appreciation. He didn't care how much it was. Even if Yang Meiyerong gave him 2,000 yuan, he wouldn't think it was too little. Mom, you're so rich. You've never given me so much in all these years. Huamin hugged his mother and continued to act like a spoiled child. I'll ask my mom to get you one too, Qin Chu said. No, I'm happy enough that she won't make trouble for me. Huamin immediately waved his hands. You? How can you say that? Oh, right, there's still some pork trotter soup in the kitchen. Then, Yang Meiyerong immediately rushed into the kitchen. Mom, let me help you. Huamin was in a good mood, which was rare for him, so he followed her. Suddenly, only Qin Chu and Yang Xiaoping were left in the living room. Qin Chu took out his phone and opened his email. He looked at the email from his company with a serious expression on his face. Yang Xiaoping was wearing emerald green pajamas, which Yang Meiyerong bought for her at the mall. She brushed her hair behind her ear and said softly, Brother-in-law, have some fruit. No, thanks. Qin Chu didn't even look up. Brother-in-law, I heard that your company is the biggest corporation in the city. Your office building is really tall, right? Well, my aunt told me about it. I thought that you must be really good to be able to run such a big company. All right, does your company need people? I want to go to work. I don't want to go back to farming. It's too tiring, and the harvest isn't good. The city is better. I like it here. I want to stay. Therefore, Yang Xiaoping told Qin Chu a bunch of random things. Before Qin Chu could speak, she added, Brother-in-law, I'm good. I'm a good cook and I clean the floor. How about I clean your office? You don't have to pay me. You pay me 1,000 yuan a month, 1,000 yuan a month, I'll. S's didn't know what she was what. Slightly he's when feet. He. What are you guys talking about? Huamin smiled as he walked over and sat down between Yang Xiaoping and Qin Chu. Yang Xiaoping had no choice but to lean back a little. Oh? I told brother-in-law to find me a job. I want to work at brother-in-law's company, or else I'll be bored all day. Plus, I can't spend my aunt's money all the time. I'll feel bad if I keep doing this. Even though my aunt loves me and buys me everything, I can't be a leech, right? Yang Xiaoping thought she was being reasonable. Huamin listened to Yang Xiaoping's ramblings as he picked up a grape from the fruit platter on the coffee table and ate it. Then, he wiped his hands and said quietly, about that, I've actually already found a job for you. Really? What job did you find? Yang Xiaoping was a little confused. Why didn't her cousin mention it to her? Chapter 1161. Just stay at home and accompany my mother. Cook for her, clean the floor, tidy up the house, and chat with her. My mother is old, and she can't afford to tidy up a 200 square meter duplex. I was planning to find her a part-time worker, but it's good that you're here. Aren't you very capable? I'm sure you can clean it up. Sister Huamin, but Yang Xiaoping didn't finish her sentence. Huamin continued. After Jixin left the country, my mom's been very lonely. Some of her neighbors live far away, so she can't see them every day. She's bored all by herself. When you're not working, can you go out with her? Go grocery shopping, take walks, or square dancing. My mom says you're the best dancer, and Little Apple is really good at it. Sister Huamin, Yang Xiaoping seemed to have something to say, but Huamin didn't give her a chance to speak. So, he interrupted her again. I'll cover your room and board, and 3,000 yuan a month. That's a lot. You're my cousin, so I won't mistreat you. I'll give you 4 days off every month. You could go out on your own, or come home when you miss home. Then, Huamin turned around, took out his phone, and opened his WeChat friends circle to ask Qin Chu. Honey, look, there's a new barbecue restaurant here. It seems like it's pretty popular. Let's go try it out some other day. Okay. Qin Chu nodded. In the end, Yang Xiaoping didn't get a chance to say anything. Huamin made her angry. The truth was, she didn't care about the salary. She just wanted to work somewhere close to Qin Chu. She realized that if she stayed at Sky Blessing Court, she would rarely see Qin Chu. She wanted to find a chance to work at GK, but Huamin didn't give her the chance. To be honest, Huamin saw through her right away. There was no way Yang Xiaoping would cause trouble for her and Qin Chu. Although Yang Xiaoping was from the countryside, she was not simple at all. Perhaps it was because communication was too convenient nowadays, and the internet was everywhere. Yang Xiaoping often used her phone to surf the internet, play QQ and WeChat when she was at home. Therefore, she wasn't an ignorant village girl. She knew that Qin Chu was the president of GK, and she also knew the rules of survival in this city. That was to hook up with a rich man, and there was a rich man in front of him, and his brother-in-law was the kind that was especially good-looking. As long as she could be with her brother-in-law, she was willing to do it, even if he didn't give her money. Yang Xiaoping sat on the other end of the sofa with a displeased look on her face. At this time, Yang Meirong brought out a bowl of pork trotter soup and egg pancakes for everyone. Huamin ate with relish. Suddenly, she missed Jixin. In the heat of the moment, he sent her a video call. It was 9:30 a.m. in Beijing and 1:30 a.m. where Jixin was. The phone rang for a long time before Jixin finally picked it up in a daze. He glanced at the caller ID and said, half-threateningly, "Huamian, how dare you video call me in the middle of the night? Lazy bum, get up and eat some pork trotter soup." Huamin pointed his phone at a bowl of pork trotter soup. Jing Jixin's sleepiness immediately disappeared. "What the? You're trying to poison me in the middle of the night? Are you trying to make me hate you?" Jing Jixin almost drooled as he looked at the pork trotter soup. "Jixin, you seem to have lost weight." Yang Meirong looked at her son, heartbroken. "Mom, I may have lost weight, but I've grown a lot taller. I exercise with my classmates every day, like running and playing basketball. Every day is fulfilling, and I eat a lot too. Don't worry." "Huh? Is that my brother-in-law?" Jing Jixin's sharp eyes asked. "Yep." Then, Huamin pointed the camera at Qin Chu. "Brother-in-law, you've become even more handsome. Is that enough for your living expenses? If it's not enough, I'll ask the finance department to transfer it to you tomorrow." Qin Chu looked at Jixin with love in his eyes. "Mr. Qin, you're so realistic. If someone says you're handsome, you'll immediately transfer them your living expenses." Huamin looked at Qin Chu, amused. Then, he looked at Jixin, who was on the other side of the phone. "You're even more realistic. Is it really okay for you to suck up to someone as soon as you get on the phone? Sucking up to someone takes a lot of skill, do you understand? If you suck up to someone, you'll be done for." Then, Jixin glanced at a girl not far behind Huamin and asked, "Huh, sis, who's that behind you? Did you hire a nanny?" Jixin's unintentional words made Yang Xiaoping feel even more awkward. Chapter 1162. Yang Meirong was the first to explain. She took out the phone and said to Jixin, "Jixin, that's your uncle's daughter, Xiaoping." "Who?" Jixin didn't know who she was, and he didn't remember who she was. "Your uncle's daughter." "Oh, the one from Nanhua village." Jixin's tone was obviously not friendly. "Xiaoping, come say hi to Jixin." Yang Meirong wanted them to get closer to each other. After all, they were cousins. Yang Xiaoping walked over shyly and waved her hand. "Hi, Jixin." She and Jixin were about the same age, so they didn't call each other brother and sister. Jixin didn't like her, so he ignored her and said to Huamin, who was standing behind her, "Sis, did you miss me? Duh, what do you think? Now that you have a brother-in-law, you've forgotten about your little brother. Hey, you little bastard, you look so cute when you're jealous. Sis, you're a chief doctor now. Is it really okay to call me a little bastard? Aren't you afraid of losing fans?" Jixin was amused by Huamin. "Okay, I'm not going to waste time with you. We're going to eat now. Here's the thick pork trotter soup. It tastes like mom." Before hanging up, Huamin didn't forget to provoke Jixin. As expected, Jixin was drooling all over the floor. "Huamian, if you come to New Zealand right now, I promise I won't beat you to death." After hanging up, Huamin continued eating the pork trotter soup, and Qin Shu ate some as well. Yang Meirong's cooking skills had improved over the years, and there were a few classic dishes that Huamin and Jixin couldn't stop thinking about. After they finished eating, they looked at the time. It was already past 10 p.m. Huamin and Qin Shu stood up. Just as they were about to get into the car, Yang Meirong suddenly said, "Mian, wait a second. I need to talk to you." "Okay." Huamin nodded and stayed where he was while Qin Shu got into the car first. Yang Meirong turned around and looked at Xiaoping, who was playing with her phone. "Xiaoping, you go back first." "Oh, okay." Yang Xiaoping glanced at Huamin with an unfriendly look in her eyes before she turned around and went back into the house. "Mom, what's the matter? Why do you have to talk to me in private?" Huamin smiled. "Mian, I went out to meet someone yesterday." Yang Meirong didn't get straight to the point. Instead, she paused for a moment. Perhaps she was afraid that Huamin would not be able to accept it. "It's Hua Zhenghai, right?" Huamin asked. "How did you know?" His mother looked at Huamin in surprise. But what kind of person was Huamin? He knew what kind of person he was. Hua Zhenghai was currently in a civil war with Hua Xiqian. Hua Zhenghai needed money, so he had already asked her for help. She didn't help him, so Hua Zhenghai turned his attention to Yang Meirong. Although his mother had a bad temper and was very direct, she was very soft-hearted. Hua Zhenghai took advantage of her weakness and used her time and time again to get benefits for himself. This made Huamin feel disgusted. I think his company is in trouble. You know, after Shun Jiani's accident, he doesn't have anyone he can trust. After all, Hua Xiqian is an adopted son, so he and Jiang Hong are trying to take over his family's wealth. He's in a tight spot right now because he needs a huge amount of money. Even the banks won't help him. How much did he say he needed? Huamin asked calmly. Yang Meirong raised 5 fingers. 500 million yuan. 500 million yuan isn't a lot. Huamin nodded. Yeah, I think Qin Shu should be able to afford it. Can you help him? Mom, do you know what will happen to us if we help him? Huamin looked up into his mother's eyes and asked. Don't worry. He said that he'll pay it back in 2 months. After 2 months, he'll get the money back from his other projects. When he has enough money, he'll pay it back immediately. Also, to show his sincerity, he said that he'll give you and Qin Shu 8% of the Hua Corporation's shares. I think these shares are quite valuable, so I wanted to ask you and see what you think. Chapter 1163. Most of the Hua Corporation's shares are in Hua Xiqian's hands, so what's the point of asking for that 8%? Plus, the Hua Corporation stock market has always been unstable. If there's any negative news, the shares will become worthless. That's not a good thing. Seeing that Huamin wasn't going to let it go, Yang Meirong continued. He wasn't a good person when he was young, and he's always been a playboy. But now, he's in a pretty pitiful situation. Mom, a pitiful person must have something to hate. We can't help him just because we sympathize with him. Do you remember the story of the farmer and the snake? Huamin was furious. Hua Zhenghai once again took advantage of Yang Meirong's soft-heartedness and kindness. Mian, I know that, but you haven't seen him yet. He's old and clumsy with a head full of white hair. You know how soft-hearted I am, and I really can't stand it anymore. What I mean is, even if you don't give him 500 million yuan to marry him, you can at least give him 100 million yuan. You don't have to be afraid that he won't pay you back. He can use the real estate under his name as collateral. Mom, it's not a matter of whether or not he'll pay you back. If he really just needs money, I can ask Qin Shu to lend him the money. But the problem right now is that he's in a civil war with Hua Xiqian. If we help him, we'll be taking a side. When the time comes, Hua Xiqian will treat us as enemies. You probably don't know how scary his adopted son is. Let me put it this way. Even Qin Shu is wary of him. He's that powerful. Yang Meirong looked surprised. She didn't expect this either. What do you think? If Hua Zhenghai lost so badly, would he need to go around borrowing money? You're right. Yang Meirong lowered her head sadly, as if she was in a difficult position. Mom, he's playing the emotional card with you. He knows your weakness and wants to take advantage of it. People like him don't deserve our help, and we don't have to fight against Hua Xiqian for him. Also, you might not know this, but he hasn't been back to the Hua mansion for a long time. He's been living outside. He's keeping a university student in Alhai Garden. She's only in her second year of university, and she's only 20 years old. She's even younger than me. Not only does he care about his career, but he also wants to have a son. A man who is never content is like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Do you think he's worth my help? Are you telling the truth? Or did you hear it from someone else? Yang Meirong asked with her eyes wide open. Take a look for yourself. Huomin took out his phone and opened a link to a news article. This was a piece of gossip that had been released a few days ago, but no one liked to pay attention to Hua Zhenghai's news, so there wasn't much of a reaction. However, the photos were extremely clear. The first one was of him holding a girl's hand at the entrance of his neighborhood. The girl looked sweet, and she was wearing a red mink coat and a white beret. The second one was of them shopping at the supermarket. He was pushing a cart, and the girl was intimately holding onto his arm. The third one was even more shocking. They were kissing passionately in the car. Although it was only the side of Hua Zhenghai's face, one could still tell that it was him. After Yang Meirong saw it, her heart sank bit by bit. She couldn't believe that she still believed that old bastard. She was almost fooled again. That old bastard, it's karma for him to end up like this. He who is unjust is doomed to destruction. That's right, he's the type of person who's still in the mood to keep a university student. That's why I'm not willing to lend him 500 million yuan. How do I know if that 500 million yuan won't become a mansion or a Porsche that he bought for that girl? That's enough, Mian. I understand now. He'll never see me again. Yang Meirong was so angry that she turned around and left. After standing outside for a long time, Huomin was freezing. After they got into the car, Qin Chu turned on the heater, so it was warm inside. Honey, let's go. Huomin smiled and put on a seatbelt. After Yang Meirong got home, she sat down on the sofa with a belly full of anger. Yang Xiaoping, on the other hand, shamelessly walked up to her. Annie, I'm really curious. How did Sister Huomin meet her husband? How did she suddenly marry into a rich family? She's not that good-looking, nor is she very educated. Chapter 1164. Maybe it's because they were childhood sweethearts back in high school. Yang Meirong wasn't paying close attention, so she didn't sense the jealousy in Yang Xiaoping's voice. They knew each other back in high school. Yang Xiaoping was a little confused. Yeah, they were in the same class back in high school. Back then, the school forbade people from dating at such a young age, so they were still. Sigh. I used to think that it was an ill-fated relationship, but now, it seems like your cousin was right to marry Qin Chu. His parents aside, Qin Chu treats Mian extremely well, and he always lets her do whatever she wants. Yang Meirong truly accepted Qin Chu from the bottom of her heart, and she approved of him. It was said that time was the best weapon to test a person, and in the blink of an eye, Huomin had been married for quite some time. She had a bad temper and would occasionally throw tantrums. There were a lot of negative news about her, and she didn't have a baby yet. She didn't have a good relationship with Qin Chu's parents either, so any other man would have lost their patience a long time ago. However, Yang Meirong noticed that Qin Chu was treating Huomin better and better, and she was truly satisfied for her daughter. It seems like Mian went to an elite high school, or else she wouldn't know so many big shots. Her tuition must have been quite expensive. Annie, how could you be willing to spend so much money on her? Wasn't your family poor back then? Did you have to start to pay for Mian's education so that she could flirt with men? Yang Xiaoping said with disdain. Yang Meirong was a little upset upon hearing this, and she looked at Yang Xiaoping in disbelief. What are you talking about? Oh, I mean, Mian's school fees were so high back then. Was it really necessary? What if she didn't marry into a rich family? Then wouldn't your investment have failed? Second High is the best school in the city, so it's normal for them to accept her. Plus, she performed exceptionally well and didn't spend a single cent on school fees in her 3 years of high school. The school didn't even pay for her books, so she only spent a little on living expenses. However, living expenses are something that can't be avoided. She's a day student and doesn't live in school. She eats at home, so she didn't spend much money. Plus, back then, we let her study at Second High, not because we wanted her to marry into a rich family, but because we wanted her to have a bright future. If it weren't for your uncle suddenly... Yang Meiyerong choked up as she spoke. If your uncle didn't die suddenly, and your cousin didn't want to leave Jixin and me, she would have gone to the States right after high school. Yang Meiyerong vaguely remembered that when Hua Mian graduated from high school, she won the attention of the entire city as the top scholar on the college entrance exam. Hua Min even received offers from universities in several countries, all of which were Hua Min's favorites. If Jingde didn't die, Hua Min wouldn't have stayed in the city to study. At the very least, he would have become a doctor at the best medical school in Jing City. He wouldn't have had to take so many detours in the past. She would have thought that Jingde's death had something to do with Hua Min, so she hated him. But now, Yang Meirong's heart ached for her daughter, who had to take such a difficult path because of her family's change. Jixin was right. Mian's life hadn't been easy all these years. I didn't know Mian's grades were so good. Then there's nothing I can do. I can't imitate her. My grades were terrible, and I didn't even finish middle school before my dad stopped me from studying. He said it was useless for girls to study so much, and that it was better for them to marry into a good family. Annie, do you think my dad made sense? Chapter 1165. Your dad has a point. Marriage is very important to a girl's life. Yang Meiyerong nodded. I'm so jealous of my cousin. I can't believe she got married to such an outstanding man. Yang Xiaoping rested her chin on her hands as she struggled with the question of Hua Min. She didn't think her cousin was a great beauty. In fact, she didn't think Hua Min was as pretty as her. She really didn't know what that man liked about Hua Min. Your cousin-in-law is outstanding, but so is Hua Mian. Although they don't come from the same family background, I think they're on the same level mentally. Otherwise, they wouldn't have such chemistry. Although Yang Meiyerong was old, she used to be an educated person and used to be in the entertainment industry. Naturally, she understood what mental nourishment was. Auntie, what's mental nourishment? Can't beauty attract a man? Yang Xiaoping asked confusedly as she touched her face. You probably wouldn't understand even if I explained it to you. Okay, stop thinking about it. Go back to your room and sleep. Yang Meiyerong was in the mood to chat with her niece, so she chased her upstairs. Then, Yang Meirong sent Hua Zhenghai a WeChat message. I asked Hua Mian and tried to help you, but she refused. There's nothing I can do. You're on your own now. Hua Zhenghai was taking a shower in a female university student's rented apartment. The girl heard his phone ring, so she picked it up and glanced at it. Zhenghai, you have WeChat, the girl said sweetly. It was quite awkward for a 20-year-old girl to call Hua Zhenghai, who was in his 50s. Hua Zhenghai walked out of the bathroom with a towel wrapped around his waist and glanced at his phone. Stupid bitch. I can't believe I couldn't trick her. Hua Zhenghai thought that if Yang Meiyerong really wanted to help him, she would have forced Hua Min to lend him the money. In the end, Yang Meiyerong didn't put in enough effort and didn't persuade Hua Min. Unwilling to give up, he replied, Rong, if 500 million isn't enough, then 100 million isn't enough? We're husband and wife, and I'm Hua Mian's father. Please help me. I don't have anywhere else to go, or else I wouldn't have made things difficult for you. He continued to put on a pitiful act. However, Yang Meiyerong already knew the truth, so how could she be soft-hearted? Really? You're at your wit's end, so you're keeping a college girl? Hua Zhenghai, you're at your wit's end, so you want to give birth to a son to fight against Hua Xiqian? But I advise you to forget it. You're already so old. If you tire yourself out and give birth to a daughter, your hopes will be dashed. Even if you give birth to a son, do you think that adopted son of yours will give you the time to wait for him to grow up? Hua Zhenghai, karma reaps what you sow. Don't be too evil, really. God is watching over you. Hua Zhenghai was rendered speechless. He immediately realized that Yang Meiyerong already knew everything. How could he lie to her? Looks like I've blocked another path. On the way back, Qin Shu didn't drive fast because it was snowing and the road was slippery. Hubby, what do you think of my cousin? That village girl. Qin Shu frowned slightly. Okay. Hua Min nodded. How do you want me to evaluate it? Qin Shu was a little embarrassed. Just tell her the truth. I think she's a little simple-minded. That's why I don't recommend her to stay and take care of Mom. If you want a nanny, you should find one who's mentally sound and has undergone professional training. The kind that pays $10,000 a month and does things cleanly and efficiently. I don't understand why you want her to stay. Qin Shu's words were truly harsh. If a girl knew that the man she had always admired called her simple-minded, she would probably want to bang her head against a wall. Huamin wanted to laugh, but he held back his laughter. The reddest explained, because she's cheap, 3,000 is enough. However, Qin Shu added fuel to the fire. Cheap things don't mean good things. Good things don't come cheap. This time, Huamin almost burst out laughing. Then, she happily turned her head to look at Qin Shu and confess, "Mr. Qin, I love you so much." She said it with a straight face. She swore that she was serious. However, what Qin Shu said next shocked her even more. Qin Shu said, Chapter 1166. Love isn't for words, it's for actions. Okay, you win. Huamin covered his face with both hands, completely impressed. She had confessed so seriously, but why did Mr. Qin respond so crazily? Back to the topic, Mom wanted to talk to you about He Zhenghai, right? Qin Shu asked. Oh, not bad. You know how to call me Mom now. Money is indeed powerful. 20,000 yuan was all it took to get you, Huamin said proudly. Qin Shu was speechless. Can't we have a nice conversation? Yes, huh? Mom don't want to talk to me about He Zhenghai. That despicable bastard took advantage of my mom's kindness and softness to play the victim. My mom was almost tricked by him again. Then what did you say? Don't be so quick to reject her. Don't hurt her feelings. Qin Shu cared about his mother-in-law's feelings, so he tried to persuade Huamin. I don't care. I just showed my mom evidence of He Zhenghai keeping college students as his mistress. That's simple and violent. Mom must be very sad. She's okay. The truth is that she doesn't have any feelings for him anymore. She just feels sorry for him. That man squandered my mom's last bit of feelings for him time and time again. People like him are the worst. It's good that you're okay with it. Let's not get involved in the whole family's business, or else we'll be in deep trouble. I know. Even if you asked me to help, I wouldn't. I'm not a saint. I won't help someone who once treated me like dirt, and I definitely won't make an enemy out of a man who's scarier than the devil. Qin Shu nodded. Then, the couple returned to South Hill Manor. After N.I. Yang's test results came out, everything was normal. Huamin talked to N.I. Yang's original surgeon and finally decided to give him back his freedom. Therefore, he called Qin Shu and told him about N.I. Yang's arrangement. GK was very efficient, and on the same day, they announced that N.I. Yang would be taking over Director Chen's film. N.I. Yang happily sent Huamin 8 red packets of 200 yuan in a row, thanking Huamin for her help. The days passed by one after another. As the end of the year approached, GK Media and Imperial Star Entertainment began to compete with each other. There were many New Year's movies at the end of the year. The celebrities from the Liang family's company competed in movies, appearances, and box office sales. Some people were bored. They took photos of the presidents of the two companies and began comparing their looks. The scene was especially brutal. GK headquarters. When Qin Shu walked out of the conference room after the meeting, Assistant Yang handed him his phone. Boss, the branch office in T-City just called. Something happened to Director Jiang. What happened? Qin Shu was extremely calm and didn't care about Jiang Linyue's condition at all. Apparently, when President Jiang went out to investigate the construction site, something happened. She was hit by a pillar and was injured. Luckily, the injury wasn't serious, and her bones were just dislocated. However, she needs to recuperate. Vice President Ji Qinglin is in charge of things over there for now. Okay, Qin Shu nodded, indicating that he was satisfied with the personnel arrangement. Sir, President Jiang already called to ask for leave. She hopes that she can take paid leave as soon as possible. Approved. President Jiang also said that she'll reimburse the company for her hospitalization and recuperation. Approved. Qin Shu was an upright person. Even if Jiang Linyue hated him, he would still do business. If that woman really was injured at work, then he had to take care of her and give her paid leave. Boss, but President Jiang also said. Assistant Yang continued to say, you better finish it all at once, because I don't have much patience when it comes to her. Qin Chu was a bit impatient and frowned slightly. Chapter 1167. Sir, President Jiang also said that she wants to come back to Sea City for treatment. After all, she's a woman with no family in the outside world, so she wants to apply to come back here. Assistant Yang spoke carefully as he observed his boss's expression. Even Assistant Yang could tell what Jiang Linyue was thinking. She wanted to apply to come back to Sea City for treatment. Once she recovered, she wouldn't go back and would stay at HQ. This move directly contradicted a young lady's original decision. Assistant Yang wasn't sure if the president would agree or not. After all, she was injured. Most men would sympathize with women, and Jiang Linyue was quite good at playing the sympathy card. Upon hearing this, Qin Chu paused in his steps and turned to look at Assistant Yang. Tell her, if she continues to stay in T-City for treatment, the company will pay for all the expenses. If she wants to come back, that's fine, but she has to submit her resignation letter. Assistant Yang didn't expect the president to be so ruthless. What? Do you have any objections? Qin Chu glanced at his assistant's face indifferently. No. Then, Qin Chu turned around and walked into his office. Assistant Yang picked up his phone and called Jiang Linyue. President Jiang, Assistant Yang, how did it go? What did Qin Chu say? Jiang Linyue seemed to be anxious. Director Jiang, the president said. Assistant Yang bit his lip, not daring to say it out loud. After all, Jiang Linyue's expression wouldn't be good if she heard it. What did he say? Hurry up and say it. I'm so anxious. Did President Qin agree to let me go back? Jiang Linyue was pleasantly surprised. When she first thought of this idea, she thought it would work. No matter how cold President Qin was, he was still a man, and any man would sympathize with someone. She thought of everything, but she forgot that Qin Chu didn't care if she went back or not. Instead, he cared that Huamin didn't want her to go back. That was the main point. It was Huamin's decision to transfer Jiang Linyue away. If he transferred her back now, Huamin wouldn't think too much about it, but he would still feel uncomfortable. After all, no one wanted to see a scheming bitch in front of them all day long. Boss said that if you want to continue recuperating in T-City, your expenses will be covered by the company and your leave will be approved. However, if you want to come back here, you have to do something first. What is it? Jiang Linyue was impatient, and she hated Assistant Yang for being so slow. I need to submit my resignation letter first. Jiang Linyue fell silent. Is this really what the president wants? Jiang Linyue gritted her teeth and slowly asked. Director Jiang, I'm just a small assistant. No matter how bold I am, I wouldn't spread rumors. Yang said innocently, but why do I feel like you're closer to a young lady? Did Huamin tell you to say that? What the hell, what does this have to do with a young lady? You're really funny. Yang was really unhappy. A young lady hadn't been to the company for a long time. Would she care about such trivial matters? Jiang Linyue was truly a petty woman who was jealous of the heart of a gentleman. You better not. Then, Jiang Linyue unceremoniously hung up the phone with a bang. She looked at the bandage on her leg. She was indeed injured, but she did it on purpose. She set up an accident for herself. It was just a light kick, nothing serious. However, she exaggerated the severity of the accident to gain President Qin's sympathy. She didn't think that Qin Chu would be so heartless. Why can he be so nice to Huamin, but treat me like dirt? Jiang Linyue angrily pushed over the vase on the coffee table and smashed it into pieces. Qin Chu treated Huamin well, spoiled Huamin, and indulged Huamin, making many women jealous. For example, Song Yishe, Jiang Linyue, and even Yang Xiaoping were jealous. However, they all forgot the most important thing. Qin Chu was only nice to her because she was Huamin. If it wasn't for Huamin, no matter how beautiful or outstanding she was, it would be useless. At noon, Huamin went to the cafeteria for lunch, and to his surprise, he saw Hua Xiqian. He held a tray of food and sat directly across from Huamin. Are you going to ask why I'm here? Hua Xiqian said the eternal line for Huamin. Chapter 1168. MHM. Huamin nodded honestly. She really did want to ask. As the president of the whole corporation, he didn't appear at a seafood restaurant or a high-end Western restaurant at noon. Yet, he actually appeared at Southside's noisy cafeteria. It was indeed a bit out of place. Because I want to eat Southside's food. Hua Xiqian actually subconsciously wanted to say, I miss you, but Huamin probably wasn't mentally prepared yet, so she changed her lines to be more meaningful. You're crazy. Huamin lowered her head and cursed as she ate. Although Southside's food had improved a lot, it still wasn't to the point where it was delicious. This Hua Xiqian was purely crazy. You've been looking good lately. Hua Xiqian smiled and looked at Huamin seriously. Huamin subconsciously touched her face. Yeah, I'm preparing for pregnancy, so ginseng, deer antler, chicken soup, Chinese medicine, etc. I don't reject anything. It's so nutritious. How can I not look good? Actually, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. Why are you in such a hurry to have child? You're still so young. Hua Xiqian smiled. I like children, and so does Qin Chu. It has nothing to do with age. Huamin calmly explained her point of view. Hua Xiqian picked up the meat on his plate that he hadn't touched and placed it on Huamin's plate, because he saw that she seemed to have a good appetite and kept eating meat. Huamin was just about to refuse when Hua Xiqian said, My blood pressure has been high recently, and the doctor said that I can't always eat meat. Seriously, do I really have to live like a monk from now on? Huamin burst out laughing. What are you laughing at? It's not that serious. High blood pressure is not a big deal. You should pay attention to your diet. Don't be too oily and spicy. Eat less things with high protein and exercise more. If it's too high, you can take some medicine to lower your blood pressure. But I don't recommend taking medicine. I think diet therapy is the best treatment. Well, you're becoming more and more like a doctor. Tycoon, I heard that since you became the chief physician of the neurology department, your annual salary has soared to 2 million yuan. You know, quite a lot. Huamin lowered his head and smiled. Her salary had indeed skyrocketed, which was a pleasant surprise. Southside was a high-end hospital. Normally, an ordinary doctor's annual salary was 600,000 yuan. She was a chief physician, so naturally, she had to double her salary. An annual salary of 2 million was something that Huamin didn't even dare to dream about. But now he had achieved it. She was very good at managing money. Every month, she would give her mother a few tens of thousands of yuan. She would spend a portion of her own money and leave a portion for Jixin to use when he got married. Qin Chu's salary was also transferred to her account every month. Therefore, Huamin could be said to be a little rich woman now. Every time I see President Wu, he always praises you. How could I not know? Keep a low profile. Keep a low profile. Huamin made a shushing gesture. At that moment, she was so adorable that Hua Xiqian felt like his heart was about to melt. He had the urge to pounce on her and kiss her fiercely, but he could only think about it. Huamin was slow to warm up, so those who wanted to pursue her would have to take their time. If he was too hasty, it would only backfire. Hua Xiqian looked at Huamin with a strange expression on his face. Huamin frowned. What's with that look? What look? Hua Xiqian laughed. Why do I feel like it's the look of a dog looking at a bone? Hua Xiqian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Little sister Mian, can we change the analogy? That's not a very friendly analogy. Huamin ignored him and continued eating. Oh, right. Didn't Hua Yinyan treat you badly in the past? Do you want revenge? I can easily ruin her reputation. Hua Xiqian smiled sinisterly. Chapter 1169. I don't want to. Huamin refused without hesitation. What? You don't want revenge? No. She's already in a miserable state. I don't want to kick her when she's down. Plus, she's been quiet lately. Ever since her mom and brother got into trouble, she's been keeping a low profile. I don't want to bully someone who's on the verge of breaking down. Huamin used to dislike Hua Yinyan because he thought she was stupid and annoying. But now, he really didn't feel that way anymore. He would even help her when those socialites bullied her. This wasn't repaying evil with kindness. It could only be said that the word Hua couldn't be written with one stroke. Although she wasn't born into the Hua family, Hua Yinyan had known her since they were kids. Even if they were enemies, There was no need to be so cruel. Okay, you're always so kind. Huamin ate quietly and didn't continue the conversation. Did the old man come to you recently? Yeah, I rejected him. Good girl. He won't be around much longer. Huasi Qian smiled proudly. Then what about Shun Jiani and Huasi? Huamin was curious. He heard that Hua Zhenghai locked Shun Jiani up after the incident. That pair of mother and son ran away. Ran away? Huasi Qian nodded. Yeah, she ran away with the adulterer. They left the city. According to my reliable sources, they went to Australia. Then what about Hui Yanyan? Huamin was a little surprised. I don't care about that. Shinjiani can't even protect herself. But that woman is still very powerful. She didn't give me everything when I forced her. When she ran away this time, she took away the safe she kept in the bank. I guess there will be some money and jewelry in it. She can't leave empty-handed. She must have figured out that she can't get any benefits from the old man. Especially if she drags on, it's better for her to leave. When the old man falls, she will come back. Then Hui Yanyan was abandoned just like that. Huamin felt quite upset. Hui Yanyan was basically at the point where her grandmother no longer doted on her, and her uncle no longer loved her. Her biological mother and adulterer had run away with her younger brother, and her biological father had taken care of a college student outside. She couldn't even stay in the Hua family properly. This was because the Hua Xiqian and Jianghong ruled over the Hua family. Hua Xiqian said disdainfully, "Oh, she hasn't been home for a long time. I heard that she met a man outside. He's a small contractor. She's been hanging out with him for a long time and has given up on herself." Huamin was completely silent. Hua Yanyan was once a proud daughter of the heavens. She started out as a dancer, knew how to play the piano, and was dressed in branded clothes. She used to be a famous socialite in the circle and was quite pretty. But now, she was in such a pitiful state. She actually understood Hua Yanyan a little. She loved Hua Xiqian deeply, but couldn't get him. In the end, she decided to avoid Hua Xiqian. In order to leave the Hua family, she had to find herself a place to stay. Maybe there was no love between her and that small contractor, but at least she had a place to stay for the time being. Then, what about her share of the company? Oh, I took it all back. She wanted to date that kid from the Shun family for a while. She didn't have any clothes to wear, so I lent her 500,000 yuan to buy clothes and jewelry. She mortgaged it to me. Huamin was speechless. Hui Yanyan sold her share of the company for 500,000 yuan? Seriously, Huamin didn't know what to say. Mian, do you feel sorry for her? Hua Xiqian moved closer to Huamin's face. His voice was mysterious and hoarse, and there was an unreadable light in his eyes. There's nothing to feel sorry for. The winner takes all. Isn't that the rule of survival? Huamin calmed himself down and replied. Hua Xiqian left after having dinner with her. Huamin also got back to work and stopped worrying about Hui Yanyan's current situation. At the Su family mansion. Huh? Old man, you're back. Su Yu saw his grandfather sitting in the living room drinking tea as soon as he walked in. Brat, come here. I have something to talk to you about. Which socialite's daughter is it this time? You made me go on blind dates all at once. So you seem to know his grandfather very well. Brat, Mayor Song has a daughter who's about your age. Mayor Song called me last night to tell me. Damn, Song Yisher. So you was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. Chapter 1170. Yes, that girl's name is Song Yisher. I heard that she was studying abroad in Italy, and then, before Lord Su could finish, Suyu interrupted him impatiently. Old man, are you crazy? You want to introduce that bitch to me? Do you know how bad her reputation is in the industry? Suyu was about to explode. Luckily, his grandpa told him this directly. If it were Mayor Song, he probably wouldn't be able to resist slapping him. Was Suyu blind? Why would he want Song Yisher? You know her? Lord Su came to a realization when he heard his grandson's words. I don't just know her, I've seen her many times. That woman is terrible. I've never seen such a terrible woman in my life. You want to introduce her to me? Are you okay? Do you want the Su family to have no descendants? Is it that serious? I sent someone to ask around, and she's not bad. They said that the girl is good-looking, highly educated, and reasonable. Tell me, who did you ask? I'll slap him to death right now. I'll make him lie through his teeth. Suyu was furious. Before Lord Su could speak, Suyu pointed at his grandpa and asked in all seriousness, "Old man, does my grandma know that you have such bad taste?" Lord Su was speechless. Wasn't he just looking out for a blind date for his grandson? Did he have to drag his deceased grandma into this? It was obvious how angry Suyu was. Don't talk nonsense. Sit down and tell me what's going on. Seeing his grandson fly into a rage, Lord Su also felt that there might be something fishy going on. Therefore, he patted the seat next to him, and Suyu immediately went up and wrapped his arms around his grandpa's neck. "Old man, let me tell you, this woman's appearance is all fake. She's reasonable, kind-hearted, and graceful. Other than her face, everything about her is fake. Also, you don't know how bad she is. She likes GK's president, and knowing that he's married, she still tried to ruin their relationship. Don't you also like GK's president's wife? Are you more noble than her?" Lord Su was quick-witted. After the incident with the military doctor, Lord Su sent someone to investigate and found out that his granddaughter was infatuated with a married woman. At the time, he was quite angry, but after an in-depth investigation, he found out that it was just his grandson's one-sided love, and he didn't do anything immoral. Lord Suyu was appeased and didn't pursue the matter. It wasn't hard to imagine that Suyu had never spoken to his grandpa. He had never bullied the weak Suyu just because his grandpa was the head of the military. Even when he was at a bottleneck when he started his business, he didn't need his grandpa's help. Now, because of a couple who was hospitalized, he needed to transfer a military doctor. How could Lord Su not investigate something like this? "Grandpa, how is that the same? My love was one-sided. I didn't do anything to ruin it. I was just following my own thoughts." Song Yishur, on the other hand, has been trying to drive a wedge between her and her mother-in-law. Just yesterday, she forced Wamin to go on live TV and compete with him in IQ. I think that Song Yishur is not only a scumbag, but also a retard. If you say that, then you definitely won't go on a blind date? Lord Su glanced at Suyu. His expression was quite serious. "Of course, let me tell you this, Grandpa. Even if all the women in the world died, and in the end, only Song Yishur and a sow were left, I would definitely choose the sow. There's no doubt about it." Upon hearing Suyu's words, Lord Su almost spat out a mouthful of tea. His grandson's mouth was really wicked sometimes. He belittled the girl to the point that she was worse than a sow. That was why it was said that no one should offend Suyu. His mouth was as nasty as Mr. Chin's. "All right, since you've said so, I won't say anything more. I believe that you still have the most basic judgment. I'll reject Mayor Song right now." After saying that, the old man picked up the landline and dialed a number. On the other side, the Song family was trying their best to persuade their daughter, Song Yishur. Sure, I don't want to nag you, but Qin Chu, don't think about him. We're so good, there's no need for you to suck up to him. The Su family is many times better than the Qin family, and with their connections to the military, your dad might be transferred to the province in the future. You have to think about it. Chapter 1171. Mom, I hate Suyu. Song Yishur's face darkened as she refused. Even if you like him, it's not going to happen. The Su family just called, and the old general rejected my proposal. Mayor Song walked over and said unhappily, "That's good. I don't want to see Suyu anyway. That man is really hard to like. He's nothing compared to Qin Chu." Song Yishur commented viciously. Sure. Dad wants to ask you. Are you sure you want to get involved in Qin Chu's marriage? This was the first time Mayor Song had asked his daughter such a serious question. Yes, Song Yishur answered without hesitation. Mayor Song looked at his daughter, slightly disappointed. Sure, there's a big forest out there. Why are you so stubborn? No one can replace Qin Chu's excellence. But he has a wife. Mrs. Song interjected. He can get a divorce, Song Yishur answered as she looked down at her phone. Mayor Song sighed slightly. I've known Qin Chu for a long time, so I know him well. He's really good and is the best candidate for my son-in-law. But he's married and they're in a good relationship. Sure. What you're doing is destroying his family. It's immoral. What's immoral? People nowadays only care about the results. Who cares if you're moral? Plus, I can't eat immoral food. They won't give me a medal. Why should I follow those old ideas and so-called morals? People will gossip about you if you're a mistress. You're not afraid of being criticized, but what about your father? Don't you care about the mayor's reputation? You're too stubborn. Mrs. Song saw that her daughter was still troubled by Qin Shu and didn't want her to continue being so willful. She and Mayor Song had been trying their best to persuade their daughter to mend her ways. You guys, I'll just say that you guys are too old-fashioned. There's a thing called public opinion nowadays, and there's a profession called the Internet Water Army. I can hire a large number of Internet Water Army to help me clear my name and then smear Huomin's name. Then, I can fabricate a story that she's the third party between me and Qin Shu. After a few years, as long as I'm Lady Qin, everything will be settled. Who will care whether she's innocent or wronged? Isn't this harming people? Mayor Song was actually a rather upright person. Unlike his daughter, he did not have the same thoughts as his daughter. Who did you harm? Huomin? That's not called harm. It's survival of the fittest. If she loses, she has to admit it. This is the law of nature. Song Yishe said confidently. If that's the case, then there's nothing more to say. Do whatever you want. You're an adult now, and we're all old. We can't control you anymore, but I hope you won't regret your decision today. Seeing that his daughter was determined, Mayor Song didn't waste any more time and got up to leave. Sure, don't make us worry. Your dad said that after he retires, we'll immigrate to Australia. No, I'm not going anywhere. I want to have Qin Shu. Song Yishe's goal wasn't as simple as having Qin Shu. Instead, she wanted to take away Huomin's most precious thing. This had become a personal grudge between the two women. Song Yishe didn't love Qin Shu. Instead, she wanted to control him. She wanted to take over his body. When it was almost time to get off work, Huomin tidied up her desk. Then, she took off her white lab coat and changed into her red cotton-padded jacket. She wore the weibo and hat that Mrs. Xian knitted for her. She looked especially cute with her purse. Goodbye, Chief Hua. Goodbye, Chief Hua. Along the way, her colleagues all greeted her. Huomin walked out of her office. Before she could find her car, she saw a Maybach parked outside. She jogged over and knocked on the car window. Hey, handsome, you're not allowed to park here. You're fined 200 yuan. Hurry up and pay up. Huomin extended her hand and smiled mischievously. Chapter 1172. Huomin was just joking. However, Mr. Qin was even more ruthless. He took out a stack of cash from his bag and placed it in Huomin's hand. Then he asked shamelessly, I've paid my fine, and I'll give you the rest as a tip. By the way, pretty girl, do you want to stay the night? Holy shit. Huomin felt like she was struck by lightning. Mr. Qin must be a genius to be able to come up with such a dirty word like spend the night. Therefore, Huomin didn't back down and said, it's not worth it to stay the night. How about this? You pay me 10 million yuan in one go, and I'll give you a discount for the year. That's not a bad idea. After speaking, Qin Shu took out his phone and started playing with it. What are you doing? Huomin didn't understand. I'm transferring money to you. Didn't you say 10 million yuan is enough for the year? Shit. Stop, I was just joking. Huomin panicked and stuck her head in the car window. She wanted to stop Mr. Qin's ridiculous behavior. However, this was exactly what she wanted. As soon as she stuck her head in, Qin Shu immediately held her head in his hands and kissed her passionately. The two of them were too engrossed. The cars behind them were blocked by the Maybach, and they kept honking their horns. Hey, do you want to flaunt your love at home? What kind of manners are you having sex in a car in broad daylight? The man in the BMW behind them cursed. Huomin immediately pulled her head back, opened the door to the passenger seat, and quickly got into the car. Honey, let's have roast lamb tonight, okay? I saw someone post a picture on WeChat last night, and I'm craving it. Sure, but we have to go back to my parents' place first. Huh? Where are you going? Yeah, my dad called and asked us to go back for dinner. I think he misses us. Let's go back and check on him, and then we'll leave without dinner. I'll eat roast lamb with you. Qin Chu was very considerate. Okay, then let's go back. We can have roast lamb tomorrow. Let's eat there tonight. I don't want to disappoint my parents. Huamin was very understanding, especially after she had reconciled with Qin Chu's parents. She wouldn't just care about her own thoughts. She knew how to compromise occasionally for the sake of Qin Chu. This was one of the reasons why Qin Chu loved her so much. The two of them drove straight back to the Qin family's old mansion. Qin Chu had been busy recently, and it seemed that he hadn't been back for a long time. When the Qin couple saw that their son and daughter-in-law had returned, they were immediately in a good mood. Wash your hands and eat. Lady Qin finally smiled. Qin Yumin came downstairs, took off his reading glasses, and said, "Your mom has a sharp tongue, but a soft heart. She knows that Mian loves seafood, so she ordered it to be flown over. It's very fresh." "Thank you." Huamin looked at Lady Qin and nodded. "It's time to call her mom," Qin Chu whispered in her ear. Huamin's cheeks blushed slightly. After a while, she said, "Thank you, Mom." Lady Qin was walking over with a plate of crabs, and her body trembled slightly. She never thought that one day, Huamin would be able to let go of everything and call her Mom. "Mom, what are you waiting for? Where's the red packet? You can't call me Mom for nothing." Qin Chu questioned her loudly on purpose. Huamin was embarrassed and immediately elbowed Qin Chu, signaling for him to stop talking. It was as if she called her mom just for money. It seemed like Mr. Qin had been planning this ever since he took his mother's red packet at Sky Blessing Court that day. Huamin suddenly felt that Qin Chu was so two-faced that he even tricked his own mother. Upon hearing her son's question, Lady Qin finally reacted. She put down the crabs in her hand and immediately rushed upstairs. Chapter 1173. Your mom is just overjoyed and excited. Qin Yumin smiled. "Dad, have a seat." Huamin pulled out a chair and said to Qin Yumin, Okay. Qin Yumin was overjoyed and nodded vigorously. Qin Chu looked at Huamin gently. He felt like Huamian was like a shy little wife who just got married. She was so adorable. A minute later, Lady Qin came back with a square handbag in her hand. It was brand new, the style was quite young, and it was obvious that she didn't carry it for her age. "Mom, is your change fee a handbag?" Qin Chu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Huh, don't underestimate this handbag. Your mom bought it a few days ago when she went on a trip to France. It's a limited edition Hermes. I've seen this one before. It's around 400,000 yuan. Mom, you sure are generous." Qin Chu smiled. Lady Qin didn't say anything. Instead, she walked over and handed the handbag to Huamin. "Take it, I bought it for you." Huamin was actually quite embarrassed. After all, it was such an expensive luxury item. "Take it, it's your change fee," Qin Chu reminded her with a smile. "Thank you, Mom." Huamin was no longer reserved and carefully took the handbag. It was a light yellow color with a beautiful design and exquisite workmanship. Huamin really liked this design, but when he heard that it cost 400,000 yuan, Huamin felt like his heart was bleeding. She probably still wasn't used to such a luxurious lifestyle. It seemed like she would have to carry this bag for at least 5 years. Looking at the dazzling array of seafood, Huamin was a little touched. She seemed to be the only one in the family who loved seafood, so everyone prepared everything for her. For the rich Qin family, money was secondary, but the thought was irreplaceable. Ever since they made things clear last time, Lady Qin seemed to have seen through Song Yishi's true colors and stopped bothering Huamin. "Huamin, although seafood is delicious, it's still cold. After you eat it, remember to drink some brown sugar ginger water to get rid of the cold, especially since you're trying to get pregnant," Lady Qin reminded him. I haven't eaten much in the past few months, and when I do, I'll immediately take some Chinese medicine to warm my womb." Lady Qin nodded. "Chu, your uncle called yesterday and said that he wants our family to go to Hawaii for the spring festival. What do you think?" Mian's and Mian's brother is overseas, and she's all alone. She's her. If you and my mom, and you want to go, you and her, then we won't go either. After all, Hawaii is the use. No matter how lively it is, it doesn't feel like Chinese New Year." Lady Qin interrupted. "Actually, Dad, I think you can invite Uncle and the others back. I did, but they didn't want to. They've been there for decades and seem to think of it as their home, Qin Yuman said meaningfully. The family of four chatted as they ate. Lady Qin suddenly thought of something and looked at Huamin. I saw the live broadcast of you and Song Yishur on TV the other day. Note that Lady Qin now called Song Yishur by her full name, not Shur, but Song Yishur. MHM, it's a charity program. The program crew said that they can donate 1 million yuan to support out-of-school children. Huamin said casually. She wasn't despicable enough to tell them how Song Yishur framed her. After all, she didn't want to be a despicable person who spoke ill of others, Lady Qin, however, said unhappily. Later, I asked someone to investigate the TV station. The TV station doesn't have that program, and the 1 million yuan wasn't from the TV station either. It was Song Yishur who sponsored it. It was all part of her scheme. Chapter 1174. Huamin wasn't surprised at all. When he saw that the director was in cahoots with Song Yishur, he knew the truth. However, he was surprised that Lady Qin would investigate herself. It seemed like she had learned her lesson. Mom, try not to say that name when you eat. It'll spoil your appetite. Qin Shu reminded his mother. Yeah, let's not talk about her. Let's not talk about her. Upon hearing her son's reminder, Lady Qin immediately came to her senses and stopped talking about Song Yishur. However, everyone knew that Song Yishur no longer had a place in the Qin family. Song Yishur was also trying to make a move on the Qin family's parents after dinner. Huamin helped the housekeeper clean up the table and made tea for Mr. Qin. It was rare for Qin Shu to have time to drink tea and play chess with his father. Mr. and Mrs. Qin didn't seem to want to leave until it was time to leave. You too. Remember to come back often if you're not busy, Lady Qin reminded them. Okay. Huamin and Qin Shu both nodded. Call me if you want to eat anything. I'll prepare it, Lady Qin reminded them again. I know, Mom. You should go home. It's cold outside. After Qin Shu drove his mother home, he got into the car with Huamin. Why don't you open the bag and take a look? Qin Shu smiled as he looked at Huamin, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. Look at what? Huamin was surprised. Look at how much money my mom put in it, huh? Didn't she give you a bag? She still has to pay? Huamin was speechless. From what I know about my mom, she's actually very generous. You can take a look. I'm not sure. Qin Shu said as he drove. Huamin carefully unzipped the bag and saw that there was a lot of cash inside. There were bundles of cash. Huamin checked and found that there were 10 bundles worth 100,000 yuan. There was even a 1 yuan note at the bottom. 1 in 100,000. Your mom is so generous. Huamin was dumbfounded. She had only called her mother-in-law mother, but she had actually given her a bag worth 400,000 yuan and 100,000 yuan in cash. So generous that it was beyond recognition. That means she was very happy when you called her mom. Qin Shu raised the corner of his mouth slightly. For so long, the relationship between his mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, which he had been most worried about, had finally improved. She knew that Huamin's impression of her mother had not improved because of money, but because he had seen everything clearly. Honey, GK is hosting a celebrity banquet tomorrow night. Do you want to come? Celebrity banquet? Yeah, all the stars under GK are here. We also invited a few top domestic superstars and directors to talk about GK Entertainment's future development. Oh, that sounds great. Should I bring a little notebook and ask for their autographs at any time? No, they're the ones who have to prepare a notebook and ask for your autograph at any time. You're the president's wife. Huamin smiled. Where is it? What time is it? It starts at 8 p.m. at one of GK's hotels. Okay, I'll go with you. I'm worried about those female stars at GK. They're like monsters who eat people up without spitting out their bones. Huamin decided that he had to attend. Otherwise, those female stars might try to get close to Qin Shu again. Qin Shu smiled. The next day, when Huamin got off work, he called Qin Shu and asked if he wanted to go over early to get changed and put on makeup. Qin Shu said no, because it was a private banquet. They were just eating and singing, so it was more relaxing. Huamin immediately felt relieved. Wearing a white mid-length cotton jacket, a hat, scarf, and black-rimmed glasses, he went to GK headquarters. Then, the two drove to the hotel together. It was already 7:50 p.m. when they arrived. Qin Chu and Huamin walked straight into the VIP lounge. It was filled with 30 to 40 celebrities, both male and female. It was a spectacular scene. Sister Huamin, an Ai Yang, who was wearing a handsome long black trench coat, was the first to stand up and greet Huamin. Chapter 1175. Huamin looked at an Ai Yang dotingly. Then, he reached out his hand and high-fived an Ai Yang. The celebrities around them were also envious as they watched. Rumors had it that an Ai Yang was poached by a young lady from GK, and it seemed like the rumors were true. An Ai Yang was closer to Huamin than he was to Qin Chu. There were rumors that an Ai Yang and Huamin had an ambiguous relationship, and that was why he got to where he was because of nepotism. Although it was just gossip, Qin Chu forcefully acquired the news agency, and in the end, no one dared to question him. However, all the celebrities knew that an Ai Yang and Huamin were as close as siblings. In GK, Imo, Shui, and an Ai Yang were the most popular people. Who wouldn't be jealous of them? Annie Liang was wearing a long pink off-shoulder gown. She stood up and greeted Huamin, showing that she was close to a young lady as well. Mian, you're here. Everyone got goosebumps when they heard her call Mian. Huamin nodded with a smile, but he didn't expose Annie Liang. This woman had learned her lesson. After seeing Huamin's unshakable position in GK, she started sucking up to him. She had a good relationship with Huamin in public and in private, and she respectfully called him a young lady in private. She purposely called him Mian in public so that others would see how close she was to Huamin. She was truly a scheming bitch. However, Huamin didn't care about these things. In his opinion, as long as it didn't threaten his and Qin Chu's interests, he didn't care. Annie Liang wanted to get close to him, so he just let her be. Qin Chu and Huamin held hands as they walked through the hall and sat down at the table in the middle of the room. The vice president of GK and some key executives were sitting there. President Qin, a young lady. Hello, Chairman Qin. Hello, a young lady. Along the way, all the celebrities, big and small, greeted him. The two of them sat down quietly. Qin Chu waved his hand and gestured for everyone to sit down. Then he began to eat. These celebrities were indeed in the entertainment industry. Their alcohol tolerance was terrifying. Each one was better than the other. Even an Ai Yang's alcohol tolerance had increased a lot. During this period, celebrities kept coming over to propose a toast. Qin Chu and Huamin each had half a glass of red wine left in front of them. Honey, until the end of the dinner, I want to see that there is still wine in your wine glass. Qin Chu said domineeringly. Qin Chu was implying that he should not drink too much. Huamin was also obedient. Whenever she met a celebrity who came to propose a toast, she would take small sips of her wine. In the end, when the dinner was over, Qin Chu glanced at Huamin's wine glass. Indeed, there were still 2 drops left. It seemed like she was really obedient this time. Then, the group went to Seductive Fox and booked the biggest private room in Rick's room. It was private and had the best sound system. All the celebrities were in high spirits. Even the usually cold Imo, Shui, seemed to be in a good mood and sang a few songs. Just then, the door to the private room was pushed open and a man wearing a black leather jacket walked in. He was around 40 years old. He was handsome and looked like a tough guy. Wow, movie King Jiang is here too. That's great. I want to take a picture with him. I want his autograph. I want to have a drink with him. I want to ask him out. Me too. I heard that he's still single. Maybe he likes me. Let's have a flash marriage or something. These young female celebrities were not reserved at all. Huamin was sweating profusely as he listened to their conversation. It was just a man. Did they have to go so far? Celebrities were packaged, weren't they? Anyways, when Jiang Yi arrived, many female celebrities in the private room couldn't help but scream. And who exactly was Jiang Yi? Huamin knew a little about him, even though she wasn't a gossipy person. However, that man was really famous. Chapter 1176. Jiang Yi, male, 39 years old, was a rock singer in the early days. 10 years ago, he changed his career to film and was now a superstar. He specialized in action and military films and became an instant hit. He won many awards, including a Grand Slam in all categories. He had been popular for a long time and had many connections, so he had a high status in the entertainment industry and was respected by many. Apparently, his salary was double that of Mo Shui, and he was a very influential superstar. Jiang had always lived in Jing City and was signed to a film and television company in Jing City. This time, he came to C-City to look for a collaboration with GK Entertainment. He was interested in an indie film that GK was shooting in Africa, so he was recommended by the media and came directly to Qin Chu to support the film. He immediately talked to Qin Chu. As soon as Jiang Yi walked in, the atmosphere in the room became tense. Hi, Shui. Jiang Yi and Mo Shui were good friends. Rumor had it that every time Mo Shui went to Jing City to promote, she would go to Jiang Yi's house. No one knew if they were buddies or just friends, but their relationship was very intriguing. Old Jiang, you're late, you know? We've already had a drink. Mo Shui's cheeks were red, and she seemed to have had a lot to drink as well. Then I'll punish myself with 3 drinks, haha, but I'll have to drink with President Qin. Then, Jiang Yi walked straight to Qin Chu's seat with a glass and beer. President Qin, I'm sorry I'm late. I'll punish myself with 3 drinks. Then, Jiang Yi downed 3 glasses in a row, and everyone cheered for him. Then, Jiang Yi sat down next to Qin Chu and lit up a cigarette for Qin Chu. Such an obvious display of goodwill made people gasp in amazement. Some of the young female celebrities beside them were staring blankly at them. Did you see that? No matter how famous you are, you have to behave in front of President Qin. That's right, President Qin is our sugar daddy. No matter how famous a celebrity is, he's still just an employee. I wish I were President Qin, so I could sit so close to Mr. Jiang. I wish I were Mr. Jiang, so I could talk to President Qin in private. At this time, Huamin was sitting far away from Qin Chu because she did not want to continue drinking. And those people would still keep toasting Qin Chu. If he was by his side, he would definitely be reduced to cannon fodder. Therefore, Huamin whispered something in Qin Chu's ear and then hid far away. How far was it? Huamin sat on the edge of the sofa in a private room that could accommodate 50 people in an inconspicuous corner. She was dressed very plainly. Most of the female celebrities were wearing evening gowns and dresses. Although it was winter, they were still beautiful and moving. After Huamin took off her white cotton jacket, there was a red Mickey Mouse sweater inside. It was the very cute kind. Obviously, it did not match her age. She was suspected of pretending to be young, but there was no other way. Who asked her to be a Disney fan? Therefore, when everyone was drinking and the live music was loud, no one noticed a young lady's corner. Qin Chu, the company's vice president, and a famous director were discussing the new film. When Jiang Yi arrived, he quickly joined in. There was no sense of awkwardness. He was indeed a veteran. After being in the entertainment industry for so many years, he naturally knew how to get along with the boss. Huamin watched as everyone sang, danced, drank, and played dice. Even that brat, an Ai Yang, was surrounded by a few female celebrities and forced to drink. This world, Huamin was bored to death. She took out her phone and played a popular mobile game for all ages. She lowered her head and played very seriously. At this time, Jiang Yi got up to go to the washroom, so he walked towards it. Huamin happened to be sitting near the washroom in a dark corner. She was so engrossed in her game that she did not notice that someone was looking at her from behind. Then she heard a man's voice say, "Not bad. Your skills are good. Do you like this game too?" After hearing the voice, Huamin jumped in fright. She quickly turned around. She saw a man standing behind her. His hands were on the sofa behind her, and he was very close to her. Chapter 1177. I'm just passing time. I don't really like it. Huamin leaned forward defensively. She kept her distance from this strange man. Although she knew that he was a superstar, she wasn't familiar with him. Jiang had been paying attention to Huamin for a while now. Most of the female celebrities in the room were wearing evening gowns and sexy one-piece dresses. They were all dressed up flirtatiously. Their makeup was also very delicate and pleasing to the eye. Huamin, on the other hand, didn't wear any makeup. She wore glasses and a Mickey Mouse sweater, making her look out of place. The truth was, she didn't think too much about it, nor did she want to be in the limelight. After all, she wasn't a celebrity and there were no reporters around, so she didn't want to dress up. To be honest, Huamin hated socializing and socializing. However, after she got together with Qin Shu, she had no choice but to go to certain events. She was a simple person. She liked to spend time with her family, lovers, and friends. 10 banquets couldn't compare to a cup of coffee with Zhu Lingling and Jiang Shaowei. 100 banquets couldn't compare to a simple dinner with her mother and Qin Shu. However, Huamin didn't have a choice. Since she became Qin Shu's wife and a young lady of GK, she had to attend certain events. Today, she came to accompany Qin Shu and observe if any other scheming bitches wanted to challenge her. She wanted to deal with them all at once. She never thought that her casual outfit would attract the attention of a superstar. The reason why Jiang Yi was able to notice her wasn't because of her beauty. Huamin, compared to the other female celebrities, didn't stand out. However, the good thing was that she looked real and dressed like the girl next door, which made her seem more approachable. After Jiang Yi talked with Qin Shu for a while, he occasionally drank with the celebrities around him. Then, he casually glanced over and saw a girl in the corner playing with her phone. At an event like this, the celebrity lineup was comparable to the Spring Festival Gala. Who would have time to play with their phones? Everyone wanted to take photos with them, drink with them, or show off on their social media. Who would still be foolishly hiding in a corner and playing with their phones? Jiang Yi's interest was piqued. He watched for a minute, but did not see Huamin raise his head. He could only see half of his face. Therefore, he was very curious and deliberately used the opportunity of going to the bathroom to get close to her and take the initiative to talk to her. As soon as he spoke, the girl raised her head. Sure enough, although her face wasn't devastatingly beautiful, it was extremely delicate and pretty. Jiang Yi had been in this industry for many years and had seen many women. He had more than a dozen girlfriends. Needless to say, bed partners, but none of them could make him fall in love, so he had yet to get married. In order to gain attention, some unscrupulous media outlets deliberately slandered him by saying that his sexual orientation had changed. Actually, Jiang Yi still liked women, but he couldn't bring himself to like those fair-skinned and beautiful faces anymore. I'm tired of the aesthetic. He was even less interested in those female university students who pretended to be innocent to attract attention and to play tricks because he believed that he was better at playing tricks. Therefore, it was rare for a girl to arouse his interest, so he took the initiative. Are you a celebrity under GK as well? I've never seen you on TV, are you new? Jiang Yi looked at Huamin with interest. Normally, people would approach him when they saw him, scream, or post all sorts of messages. However, when Huamin saw him, he seemed a bit conflicted and subconsciously moved away from him. Jiang Yi's lips curled up, thinking that this girl was quite interesting. He was almost 40 years old, and it had been a long time since he last saw such a fun girl. Why did he move so far away? Was he afraid of being molested? What a joke, he was a superstar. It was quite awkward to be mistaken for a newbie at GK. However, it wasn't Jiang Yi's fault. He wasn't a local and rarely watched the news here. Naturally, he didn't know that GK's president had a wife and only thought that she was a newbie at GK. Huamin was about to explain his identity. Chapter 1178. Suddenly, a second-rate female celebrity walked over and intimately hooked her arm around Jiang Yi's. Big brother Yi, let's have another drink. It's rare to see you. Let's drink until we're drunk. Jiang Yi couldn't refuse. Even though these female celebrities weren't famous, they were all signed to GK. Therefore, he had no choice but to drink with them. Huamin took this opportunity to get up and sneak into the washroom. Jiang Yi finished a glass of wine and wanted to continue talking to Huamin, but Huamin was gone. He was confused. A glass of wine only took 5 seconds. How did Huamin run away? Was he a ghost? Why did he run away so fast? Jiang Yi smiled helplessly. He thought to himself, I'll wait here and see if you come out of the washroom or not. As expected, 5 minutes later, Huamin couldn't stay any longer. She walked out of the washroom to see that this man was still there. Jiang Yi smiled and was about to speak when he saw her walk over. However, Huamin turned the corner and walked out. Jiang Yi froze on the spot. He felt like he was struck by lightning. Did he fail to hit on her again? Could it be she's playing hard to get? Jiang Yi raised his eyebrows playfully. He thought that this girl might be playing a game of cat and mouse with him, trying to pique his interest. Perhaps it was because he was in a complicated industry, so he didn't think anyone was that simple. Not far away, Qin Shu was chatting with the directors. Occasionally, he would look up at Huamin. When he saw Huamin walk out, he froze for a second but didn't immediately chase after him. Seductive Fox was Rick's territory, so he didn't have to worry about Huamin's safety. After Huamin left the room, he wandered around the hallway to get some fresh air. To be honest, she didn't admire that superstar, nor did she have any feelings for him. She didn't want to talk to him. It was that simple. As Huamin wandered around, he suddenly heard a door slam open at the end of the hallway. Huamin then saw a girl walking towards them angrily. When she got closer, Huamin realized that she was the girl that Rick had taken to the movies last time. She was also the one who had attended Rick's private cocktail party. If you remembered correctly, her name should be Cece, right? Are you okay? Huamin asked kindly when he saw the anger on the girl's face. I'm fine. The girl said that she was fine, but her brows were tightly knitted. Then she angrily ran downstairs. Just then, Rick chased after her. Cece, wait a minute, listen to me. I won't listen, I won't listen, I won't listen, Cece said as she ran. Cece, it's not what you think, you've wronged me. Rick wasn't a talkative person. Although he was as quiet as Qin Shu was a black-bellied person. When it came to slandering people, his mouth was especially vicious. Rick, on the other hand, was quiet and clumsy. Most importantly, it was his first time in love, so he didn't know how to get along with a girl. Seeing this, Huamin finally understood. Oh, so the two of them were fighting? When Rick passed by Huamin, he didn't forget to nod and greet him in a friendly manner. Huamin nodded as well, but before he could say anything, he chased after the girl downstairs. It seemed like even young masters couldn't escape the torment of a girl in love. Huamin looked at Rick's back and sighed. Even heroes have a weakness for the charms of beautiful women. It seems like our ancestors were right. Oh, is our department director Huo lamenting life again? The familiar voice behind him almost scared Huamin to death. She turned her head, and when she saw the face, she punched Su Yu's shoulder. Are you trying to scare me to death? You came and went like a ghost. Chapter 1179. Hey, watch your image. You're a chief physician. Don't do something so unladylike, okay? Su Yu smiled with a toothpick in his mouth. I'm not a lady, okay? The setting you gave me was wrong to begin with. Okay. Everything you say is right. I can't out-talk you. Su Yu looked at Huamin with glowing eyes. Why are you here? Huamin looked at Su Yu curiously. Our company is having a party too, Su Yu said casually, but he couldn't hide the surprise in his eyes when he saw Huamin. He had noticed a long time ago that Huamin rarely came to nightclubs. The only time he came was at Seductive Fox. Since the owner of Seductive Fox had a good relationship with Qin Shu, he only went to Seductive Fox whenever he went to nightclubs. That way, the chances of him bumping into Huamin would greatly increase. For the current Su Yu, as long as he could see Huamin once in a while, he would feel very happy. This outfit is not bad. It suits you very well. Huamin was wondering why Su Yu's words were so pleasant today, but he continued, It's very childish. Damn you. I knew you wouldn't say anything nice. I was wondering why you changed. You're still the same as before. Huamin laughed. She had to admit that the awkwardness between her and Su Yu had changed to that of an old friend. They could joke around and chat. Of course, this was only if Su Yu didn't say anything emotional. Once Su Yu became serious, Huamin would still feel awkward. I've always been like this. So you said proudly. Then, he suddenly thought of something fun and said to Huamin, let me tell you a joke. Okay. Huamin nodded and listened attentively. My grandpa arranged a blind date for me yesterday with Song Yishur. Yeah, that bitch, Suyu emphasized. Huamin was speechless. Did you go? Huamin looked at Suyu sympathetically. How is that possible? Would I still be me if I went? Oh my god, I don't want to lie to you. She's the most fake and bitch I've ever seen. It was obvious that Suyu's comments. Huamin lowered his head and thought for a moment. Then, he said, she's not good enough for you. Huamin thought that other than having a bad temper, being a bit of a spendthrift, being a bit arrogant, and being a bit childish, everything else about Suyu was great. He had a good personality, a good family background, and good looks. Song Yishur really wasn't good enough for an excellent man like Lord Su. This was the truth. Wow, I've known you for so long, but that's the best thing I've ever heard. Suyu took out a toothpick from his mouth, leaned against the wall, and crossed his legs. Every time he was alone with Huamin, he would feel unusually happy. He would also selfishly want time to slow down a little. I'm just telling the truth, okay? Huamin looked at Suyu and smiled. The old man basically won't arrange any more blind dates. He's already arranged more than 20, but none of them worked out. The old man seems to have given up on me. Suyu seemed to be talking to himself as he spoke to Huamin. Huamin lowered his head guiltily. I believe that an excellent girl will appear by your side. She's already here. Suyu smiled bitterly. Huamin's heart skipped a beat, and he didn't say anything else. Just then, the door to the private room opened, and Jian Tong walked out. She was stunned at first, but then she looked at Suyu and said gently, President Su, everyone wants you to go back and play dice. MHM, Suyu nodded. Huamin immediately looked up at him. Then you should get back to work. I have to go back too. After speaking, Huamin turned around and walked back to his private room. Suyu watched her quietly until she walked in. Only then did he walk in himself. Huh? What's your name? As soon as Huamin sat down, Jiang Yi appeared out of nowhere and sat down directly next to him. Huamin replied calmly. Hua, Mian? That name sounds familiar. Jiang Yi frowned slightly. He could swear that he had heard this name before. Chapter 1180. Maybe it's because there are a lot of people with the same name as me. No, I must have heard of it somewhere before. Jiang Yi was racking his brain. Huamin definitely wasn't a celebrity. There was no such person in the entertainment industry. But this name was definitely familiar. He had heard it before, and he always thought he had a good memory. But at this moment, he was completely dumbfounded. Huamin didn't say much. She sat in the corner and quietly played with her phone. The atmosphere was still high, and everyone seemed to be having a good time. Huamin sneaked a glance at Qin Shu and saw that he was seriously talking to a few directors. Although he was young, he didn't pale in comparison to the others in his seat. He had great control over the situation. The directors were also very respectful towards Qin Shu. He didn't say anything. He just quietly listened to their opinions and then gave his accurate comments. Perhaps Qin Shu noticed that someone was sneaking glances at him, so he suddenly turned his head. Huamin immediately lowered her head and pretended to play with her phone. She couldn't let Mr. Qin find out that she was sneaking glances at him, or else he would become even more arrogant. Of course, Qin Shu knew what Huamin was thinking. He only smiled dotingly and didn't say anything. Just then, Jiang Yi walked over with a glass of wine. Young lady, let's have a drink and be friends. My name is Jiang Yi. Perhaps he wanted to remind Huamin that he was a celebrity, so Jiang Yi emphasized his name. On the plane, even the flight attendants in the first-class cabin were infatuated with him and asked for photos and autographs. Jiang Yi glanced around. Other than this young lady who was playing with her phone, there were other female celebrities in the room. Everyone else took the initiative to take photos and drink with him. Some of the braver ones directly asked for his phone number in WeChat. Their intentions were direct and obvious, but the more they acted like this, the less interested Jiang Yi was in them. All men were like this. Young and beautiful women would definitely attract men's attention. Nowadays, all the nightclubs were filled with young models from the 90s. If you slapped your BMW keys on the coffee table, they would immediately jump into your arms. That was how society worked. Jiang Yi was rich, handsome, and famous. Especially since he was still single, he became the target of many female celebrities. Aside from Mo, all the other women came up to him one after another. Even Annie Liang didn't hold back. She added Jiang Ye's WeChat and sent him many sexy photos. Her motive for asking Pao out was even more obvious, but the more he acted like this, the more Jiang Yi felt that this man was despicable. This was human nature. There's an old saying that hurrying is not a business transaction. That was exactly what it meant. The active party would always be led by the nose, forever in a passive state. Before Huamin could answer, an Ai Yang appeared out of nowhere. She raised her wine glass and said, "I'll drink on her behalf." "Brother Ai Yang, this is the first time I've seen you defend someone like this." Jiang Yi smiled meaningfully. Huamin could smell the strong smell of alcohol on Ai Yang's body. He tapped his head with his finger. "Kid, don't drink so much. You just got out of the hospital not long ago. I know it's fine." Ai Yang smiled and drank the wine on behalf of Huamin. Ai Yang was the most famous of the male idols and had the most fans in the industry. However, Jiang Yi had never seen him in a scandal with another woman. Now that he was so protective of this girl, Jiang Yi suddenly felt that it was even more interesting. He moved closer to Ai Yang's ear and whispered in a low voice. He asked, "Do you like her? Are you fucking crazy? She's my sister." Ai Yang was a little angry. "Your biological sister?" Jiang Yi asked again. "No, but she's better than my biological sister. Without her, Ai Yang wouldn't be who he is today." Ai Yang said righteously. If Huamin didn't arrange the surgery for him, he really wouldn't know what he would be like right now. Therefore, in Ai Yang's heart, Huamin's position as a sister was unshakable, and he wouldn't allow anyone to tarnish her position. "I really didn't know that you would recognize a little white girl as your sister." Jiang Yi smiled as he held his wine glass. "Little white? You think she's a little white?" Ai Yang looked at Jiang Yi as if he was looking at an idiot. "Isn't she? Didn't she tell you who she is?" Ai Yang smiled even more proudly. Jiang Yi felt a little uneasy as he looked at the kid's evil smile. Chapter 1181. Just as Ai Yang was about to reveal Huamin's identity, he saw Qin Chu walking towards them. Under everyone's gaze, he walked over and gently caressed Huamin's delicate face. "Are you sleepy?" "I'm fine." Huamin smiled. At this moment, Jiang Ye's eyes were wide open. He was obviously shocked beyond words. Ai Yang looked at him with schadenfreude, thinking to himself, "You're an idiot now, aren't you? This is what you get for flirting with my Huamin. Let's see how the president will deal with you." "President Qin, this is..." Jiang Yi looked at Qin Chu, dumbfounded, and then looked at Huamin. "My wife Huamin." Jiang Yi froze on the spot. His expression was hilarious. "Brother Jiang Yi, don't tell me you don't know a young lady?" Annie Liang walked over with a strange smile on her face. "I really don't know her. I've never seen her before. My wife isn't from the entertainment industry, so she's rarely in public. It's normal that you don't know her." After Qin Chu finished speaking, he looked down at his watch and then looked around. "It's getting late. Let's call it a day." "Okay, President Qin. Thank you for the drinks, President Qin. Thank you for your hospitality, President Qin." Many celebrities gathered around and saluted their boss. Jiang Yi, on the other hand, had mixed feelings. He suddenly realized why the name Huamin sounded so familiar. When he was at a gathering with some directors, he heard that GK's President Qin had a wife that he loved dearly. They were childhood sweethearts, and their relationship ran deep. That girl could even make many important decisions within GK. So, this legendary girl was the one in front of him who played with her phone and wore Mickey Mouse. That was too shocking. Jiang Yi always thought that President Qin's wife was at least classy and elegant, if not devastatingly beautiful. He didn't think that she would be so down-to-earth, like the little girl next door. At this thought, he was a bit jealous. No wonder CEO Qin liked her. Who wouldn't like her? Then, Qin Chu held Huamin's hand and left. He left the private room for everyone to continue having fun. and Qin Shu paid for all the expenses. After Qin Shu left, the directors began to behave naughtily and began to hug the female stars. Mo Shui left first. She seemed to have gone to Hua Xiqian's place. Everyone knew about her relationship with Hua Xiqian. Therefore, no one talked about it too much. Brother Jiangyi, which hotel are you staying at? Annie Liang asked. Boss Qin arranged for the 5-star hotels under the company. Do you need someone to accompany you? Annie Liang asked bluntly. Why do you want to come? That depends on whether you need it or not. Annie Liang lifted Jiang Ye's chin with her red fingernails. If it was in the past, he might have been able to play around. But now, for some reason, looking at the standard face of an internet celebrity with heavy makeup in front of him, Jiang Yi suddenly lost all interest. My kidneys have been weak lately. If you don't mind, you can come over. You're so annoying. You're teasing me again. Jiang Yi tactfully rejected Annie Liang. Then he probed, does President Qin's wife also work at GK? Of course not. A young lady is a godlike woman. She's a legend in Sea City. Really? What kind of legend? Jiang Yi looked at Annie Liang with interest. You seem to be very interested in young madam's affairs. What I want to know is, what kind of woman is President Qin's woman? Jiang Yi lit a cigarette, took a deep puff, and laughed. She is a woman with an incredibly high IQ. Do you know what she does for a living? Annie Liang asked with a smile. Jiang Yi shook his head. Chapter 1182. She's the youngest chief physician in the country with an annual salary of $1.2 million. She's a famous neurologist at Southside Recuperation Center. Doctor? Jiang Yi was surprised. Huamin didn't look like she was more than 25 years old. How could she be a chief physician at such a young age? Not a doctor. I'm a chief physician. Chief, do you understand? She manages the entire department. Then President Qin must have pulled some strings for her, right? Wrong. If President Qin pulled some strings, she'd probably be the director of Southside Recuperation Center. Annie Liang smiled. Although she was jealous of Huamin, she had to admit that Huamin was very capable. But it doesn't make sense for her to be a chief physician at such a young age. Jiang Yi thought about the girl with black-rimmed glasses and a Mickey Mouse outfit who was playing with her phone. A girl who looked like a girl next door was actually a first-rate doctor. It was unbelievable. He never would have thought of such a career. He always thought that being a doctor was a very heavy job. Plus, the workload was so heavy that normal people couldn't handle it. That's why a young lady is a genius. There's no doubt about that. Her brain. Let me put it this way. All the female artists under our company combined their brains wouldn't be as smart as hers. She's super smart. Jiang Yi gave a precise description. Yes, that's right. Her IQ is too high, or else President Qin wouldn't love her so much. Annie Liang had a misunderstanding. Like Song Yishur, she always thought that Qin Shu loved Huamin so much because she was smart. But that wasn't the case. President Qin's IQ wasn't low either. He loved Huamin. It was a seed of love that was planted when he was young. After all these years, it was already deeply rooted in his bones. So, what did Qin Shu like about Huamin? He couldn't pinpoint the exact reason, because as long as it was Huamin, he would love her regardless of her strengths and weaknesses. He could accept everything. I see, but she's pretty low-key. I thought she was a newbie at the company. I almost made a fool of myself. Jiang Yi was a little embarrassed. After he finished speaking, he took a sip of red wine. A young lady is indeed low-key. Whether it's the car she drives, the clothes she wears, or the way she speaks, she's not ostentatious at all. This is a calmness that most girls her age don't have. Annie Liang gave a rare comment. President Qin, you're so lucky to have a good wife, Jiang Yi exclaimed. Anyways, if you want to work with GK, remember this truth. What? Jiang Yi looked at Annie Liang in confusion. You can offend anyone in GK, even President Qin, but never offend a young lady. Why? Because our President Qin dotes on his wife as much as his life. This sentence is not exaggerated at all. He really does understand. With that, Annie Liang smiled, picked up her glass of wine, and went to another table. Jiang Yu was left sitting there alone. His heart was filled with all sorts of mixed feelings. He was still very curious. What kind of girl was Huamin? How could someone like Qin Shu fall in love with her so much? He was getting more and more interested. Su Yu played around in the private room for a while, but his mind was elsewhere. He kept thinking about whether Huamin was still next door. President Su, why don't I go next door and take a look? I know a few celebrities there. Jian Tong could tell that her boss was itching for Huamian, so she took the initiative to suggest this. What are you looking for? Just sit there. We're competitors now. You'd be asking for trouble if you went over. Actually, if you want to see her, just call her and ask her out. You look terrible. Jian Tong felt bad for her boss. It's not as simple as you think. Su Yu was a little depressed as he took another big gulp of wine. Indeed, he couldn't just call Huamin. He already said that he didn't want to cause trouble for her. Inside the Maybach, Qin Shu looked at Huamin as he drove. It seems like I can't bring you to events like this anymore. What? Did I embarrass Mr. Qin? Huamin looked at Qin Shu, amused. Chapter 1183. It's not that I'm embarrassed. It's that my wife is always on the receiving end of attention. Huamin was speechless. I don't even mind that you're being teased by those women. It's not the same. I attract trash and flies, but you attract hardcore fans. It's scary. Qin Shu retorted shamelessly. Huamin was speechless. It seemed like Mr. Qin's conclusion was spot on. That night, the two of them went to bed early. Mo Shui left Seductive Fox first and went to Hua Xiqian's private mansion. After the two of them did it, Hua Xiqian leaned against the headboard and smoked. Sleeping with Mo Shui was purely a physical need, and it was purely a way to vent. Compared to those dumbass internet celebrities, Mo Shui was smart and skillful. She was the perfect choice for Hua Xiqian's bed partner. What are you thinking about? Why are you spacing out? Mo Shui reached out and gently stroked Hua Xiqian's sexy chest. Her index finger drew circles on his chest like she was a pro. Nothing, he said in a low voice, and then took another deep puff of his cigarette. We're having dinner tonight, and Huamin is coming too. Mo Shui said, Really? Yeah, she's really funny. Actually, sometimes I think Huamin does it on purpose. On purpose? Hua Xiqian looked down at Mo Shui with a questioning look. I think she does it on purpose to show off. It's an important party, and so many of us female celebrities are wearing evening gowns and dresses. But Huamin is wearing a ridiculous Mickey Mouse sweater. She doesn't fit in at all, and that's why she's attracting so much attention. Us flamboyant people are just there to serve as a contrast. Hua Xiqian chuckled. That's why I said that your taste will always be inferior to hers. Mo Shui retorted. I think Huamin is a scheming bitch. Seriously, she must have dressed like that on purpose. She even sat so far away from President Qin. It's obvious that she did it on purpose to attract Jiang Ye's attention. Jiang Ye? Hua Xiqian paused. Yeah, it's not like you don't know that famous actor. Of course I know. How could I not know what you did before? Hua Xiqian said with a mocking smile. Mo Shui was obviously uncomfortable, so she smiled awkwardly. Then she said coquettishly, can you stop talking about this? That was in the past. At that time, you had another woman and I was heartbroken. That was why he took advantage of me. You know, I don't have any feelings for him. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in your relationship with him at all. I just want to know what's wrong with him. Is he interested in my Huamin? Hua Xiqian domineeringly referred to Huamin as his Huamin. It was obvious that their relationship wasn't normal. Mo Shui was slightly jealous. Yeah, Huamin did it on purpose. Jiang, you must have noticed her. Think about it. She dressed so weirdly at that kind of event. Plus, she ignored everyone and played with her phone. She must have aroused a man's desire to conquer her. But she sure has guts, seducing another man in front of President Qin. Upon hearing this, Hua Xiqian's face darkened. He raised his hand and rudely removed Mo Shui's hand from his chest. Why are you saying that she seduced Jiang Yi and not the other way around? I don't think so. Jiang Yi is a superstar. Why would he be interested in a noob? At the end of the day, it's all because of her methods. Just then, Hua Xiqian narrowed his eyes and pinched Mo Schwerer's chin. You seem to be hostile towards my Mion. Chapter 1184. No, I'm just stating a fact. I know you've always loved her, so you can't bear to hear anyone badmouth her. If you know that, then why did you do it? Hua Xiqian tightened his grip. Mo Shui furrowed her brows slightly. Xiqian, are you hurting me? Hua Xiqian suddenly let go, but his expression was still dark. I just don't want you to be fooled by her kind appearance. She's already married, but she's still seducing Su Yu and Jiang Yi. A woman like her isn't worth your time. Shut your mouth. Xiqian, get out now. Xiqian, don't make me repeat myself. Mo Shui. I'm telling you, don't think that you're mine just because I slept with you. The rules of our game were set from the very beginning. I'm only going to enter your body. I'm not going to enter your life. I hope you'll do the same and stay out of my business. I know better than anyone what kind of person Huamin is. I've known her longer than Qin Shu. So please shut up and get the hell out of my house. Otherwise, you know what I'm going to do. Seeing Hua Xiqian get angry, Mo Shui didn't dare to say anything else. She obediently got up and put on her clothes. She grabbed her bag and left without another word. What she said today was half true and half false. She didn't really think the same way. She took the risk of slandering Huamin because she wanted Hua Xiqian to give up on her. Mo Shui always thought that Hua Xiqian falling in love with Huamin was a tragedy in and of itself. Even an excellent man like Su Yu couldn't get Huamin's love, let alone him. In Mo Shui's eyes, Hua Xiqian was perfect. He was smart, cunning, rich, passionate, and had great skills. When he was with her, he treated her well. He was affectionate but not clingy. The only flaw was that he actually liked Huamin. Both of them liked Huamin, but what was so good about Huamin? The next morning, Huamin drove to work at Southside on time. After the morning meeting, he began to make house calls. There were many people who had registered with her because she was very serious. She was never afraid of trouble, nor would she specially prescribe expensive medicine to deceive patients. Therefore, he built a very good reputation and profound medical skills. There was a rumor going around that there was a young female neurologist in Southside. She had excellent medical skills and was very kind. As a result, the number of patients had naturally increased. In order not to tire her out, President Wu had already adjusted her emergency registration fee to 68 yuan. It was a very high price, but it still couldn't stop the enthusiastic crowd outside the neurology department. All kinds of patients. Dr. Hua is about to take his lunch break. He's going to rest after seeing one more patient. You guys should go rest first and continue in the afternoon. Also, we'll only see 10 patients this afternoon. Come back tomorrow. Dr. Hua will be tired and his body won't be able to take it. Assistant Chun Jie had been helping out with Hua Min's work ever since the higher-ups approved Chun Jie's application to become an official employee. She treated Hua Min like a savior and took care of her boss with great care. Chief, there's one more patient this morning. Chun Jie reminded him through the internal line. Got it, let her in. Hua Min hung up the phone and pinched the bridge of his nose. He was clearly tired. Seeing patients wasn't like other things. Although it didn't require physical strength, it required a lot of mental effort. This was especially true for auditing neurology. Although there weren't many surgeries, the patient's conditions were difficult to treat. Most of the patients were mentally or psychologically ill. Mental patients were often seen. Some of the patients would even suddenly become aggressive, which was very unfavorable to Hua Min. Fortunately, she was slowly getting used to it. In her words, it wasn't easy to earn 2 million yuan a year. She was always on tenterhooks. Hello, Chief. The last patient in the morning walked in. He was a man wearing a mask and was dressed very fashionably. Take a seat and tell me about your situation, Hua Min said in a friendly manner. Okay. After saying this, the man took off his mask. After seeing his face clearly, Hua Min was shocked. Chapter 1185. Why are you here? Huamin had always had a good memory, especially someone she had just met. She might not be interested in the name Jiang Yi, but she was no stranger to this face. He was the man who kept hitting on her at Seductive Fox last night. Why can't it be me? Are you surprised? The man asked with a smile. Yes, I'm surprised too. I didn't know you were a young lady from GK. I also didn't expect you to be a neurologist at such a young age. You're even a chief physician. How amazing are you? Huamin wasn't happy at all about Jiang Yi's compliments. Instead, she said nonchalantly, "You're not here to chat with me. You're here to see a doctor, right?" "Huh, you have a sharp tongue." "Yes, I'm here to see a doctor." "Sorry to trouble you, Dr. Hua." After speaking, Jiang Yi smiled again. Huamin picked up the medical record that Jiang Yi had filled out earlier and saw the words loneliness phobia written on it. Huamian scanned through some other information. Then, she looked up and asked, "Did you diagnose your autism yourself? Or did a doctor from another hospital diagnose you?" "I did it myself." "What makes you think you have this illness? Do you know what it is?" "I do. It's an extremely rare mental illness." "Yes, the symptoms of loneliness phobia are that you don't like to be alone. You always want to be in crowded places. Once you're alone, you'll be afraid of sound. You'll even have nightmares. During this process, you'll have auditory, visual, and auditory hallucinations. Similar to depression, this illness is one of the most difficult mental illnesses to treat. So, Huamin paused for a second and asked, "Do you really have this illness, or are you here to tease me and test my medical skills?" "Haha, you're smart. How did you figure that out?" Jiang Yu was impressed. He really didn't have this illness, but he made it up because he wanted to see Huamin at work. To see what kind of state she was in at work, the results were surprisingly good. He thought that Huamin was as cute as the girl next door at work as she was last night. On the contrary, Huamin was very serious, rigid, and even a little unreasonable when he was working seriously. His communication with the patient was also somewhat cold. Sometimes, he would even interrogate the patient as if he was interrogating a criminal. But she couldn't be blamed for this, because if she didn't do it, she would have died. If the patient did not feel pressured, many of them would subconsciously lie because they did not feel pressured. He would conceal some of his symptoms, which would affect Hua Min's diagnosis and treatment. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang. If you're here to play, then I don't have time to accompany you. Please go out, turn left, and get off the elevator. Go home early, wash up, and sleep. Leave such a precious opportunity to see a doctor for someone who needs it. Okay?" Huamin's words left Jiang Yi speechless. "Young lady, do you always speak so harshly? There's no need to be polite to patients who don't respect doctors." "Yes, I have to correct you. You're just a patient pretending to be a patient. I hate people like you the most. You're so boring that you want to take up other people's time to see a doctor." Huamin lowered her head and tossed Jiang Yi's medical record onto the table. It was obvious that she didn't want to say another word to him. "Hey, are you really angry?" "Huh, I don't mean any harm. I was just joking with you." Jiang Yi immediately explained when he saw that Huamin didn't want to talk to him anymore. "I'm sorry, Mr. Jiang. I don't think I'm close enough to you to joke around. Please be mindful of your status." Huamin raised her head sternly and said word by word, "Are you always so mean to President Qin at home?" Jiang Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he looked at the young lady in front of him. Chapter 1186. Huamin glanced at him and replied in all seriousness, "Your question is hilarious. First of all, this is my personal business and I don't have to tell you. Second of all, you're pretending to be a patient and wasting other patients' time. I don't know what your ultimate goal is. Third of all, if you don't leave in 5 seconds, I'm going to call security to escort you out. You don't have to be so serious. Young lady, we don't know how to flirt." Jiang Yi smiled helplessly. "Hey, Huamin, are you serious? You're going to kick me out?" "For..." Huamin counted in all seriousness. "I'm a superstar." 3. "Mrs. Qin, don't be so serious. For President Qin's sake, please don't be like this, okay?" 2. Huamin didn't give up. "Okay, I'll leave. I'll leave right now. Right now." In the end, Jiang Yi compromised. Before Huamin could count to 5, He quickly got up and left. Wait, Huamin called out from behind him. Jiang Yi was pleasantly surprised, thinking that Huamin was going back on his word. He immediately turned around. Huamin pointed to the medical records on the table and said with a dark expression, "Take this away." Okay. Jiang Yi picked up the medical records on the table, unwilling to give up. Before he left, he didn't forget to look at Huamin and say something meaningful. "Young lady, you're ruthless." Huamin still ignored him. She didn't want to waste her breath on patients like this. Walking out of Southside Recuperation Center, Jiang Yi put on his mask and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He hadn't been kicked out by a woman in years. He was a movie superstar. How did he end up in this state? This Lady Qin wasn't normal at all. Jia, call the next patient. You're done already, Chief. It's almost lunch break. Why don't you continue in the afternoon? Chen Jia's heart ached for Huamin, so she kindly reminded him. There's still some time. I could still look at one more. Put it in. Huamin wasn't in a good mood. If Jiang Yi hadn't cut the queue and played a prank on him, he would have been in a bad mood. Perhaps she wasn't that tired. It was already hard enough for a doctor to deal with diseases, but he still had to deal with these boring patients. However, the strange thing was that Su Yu had once pretended to be a patient to see her, but she didn't have such a strong sense of disgust. She hated Jiang Yi. He was almost 40 years old, but he didn't act like a man in his 40s at all. At noon, Huamin went to the cafeteria for lunch after seeing the last patient. In the afternoon, President Wu came to Southside for an inspection. He also brought along the leaders of the Provincial Ministry of Health. As a key doctor, Huamin accompanied various leaders to inspect the environment of the South Side. Then, he gave a godlike explanation. It was almost 6:30 p.m. by the time she got off work. She had unknowingly worked another hour of overtime. After taking off her white coat and changing into her clothes, she walked out of South Side to recuperate. After she got in her car, she called Qin Chu. "Honey, I'm still in a meeting. You should go home first. If you're hungry, eat first. Don't wait for me." This was Qin Chu's voicemail. He had set it up especially for her. After she hung up, she drove straight to South Hill Manor. There were a lot of maids at South Hill Manor, so Huamin rarely had the chance to cook for himself. Therefore, it was a lot less fun. Since she was in the mood today, she decided to cook a few dishes for Mr. Qin. She was going to drive to the supermarket to buy some fresh ingredients. However, she didn't expect to be rear-ended by a BMW X5 on the highway. Everyone was driving normally, and Huamin didn't slow down or stop. Even so, they were still hit. What the fuck? Huamin got out of the car. The owner of the X5 also got out of the car. It was a young woman. She had never seen this woman before, but she was very familiar with the woman beside her. It was Song Yisher. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Huamin stared at them with wide eyes. Xian, look at you. How could you drive like that? You hit Miss Hua. Song Yisher gloated as she looked at the girl beside her. Chapter 1187. Are you a newbie? Why are you driving like this? Even if you want to die, don't drag me down with you, okay? Huamin frowned slightly and ignored Song Yisher's mockery. Instead, he questioned the girl who was driving. Even if I hit you on purpose, so what? Why do you have to be so arrogant about stealing someone else's mistress? The girl named Xian seemed to be full of hostility towards Huamin. If Song Yisher wasn't here, Huamin would have thought that he ran into a mental patient. What mistress? She was so confused. This girl wasn't Song Yisher's so-called best friend. She was just Song Yisher's uncle's daughter. Her name was Song Yisher, and her father was the director of the Land Bureau, a very powerful person. Song Yisher had been studying in Australia, and now that it was almost Chinese New Year, she went home early for the holidays. As soon as she came back, she saw that her cousin was unhappy, so she asked and found out about Song Yisher's troubles. The version that Song Yisher told her cousin was like this. Song Yisher and Qin Chu met when they were 8 years old, and they loved each other since they were young. However, someone took advantage of the fact that she was studying abroad. Not only did she have Qin Chu, but she was also bullying her. So, in Song Yisher's subconscious mind, Huamin was a shameless mistress who stole her cousin's man. Xian, let it go. Song Yisher pretended to be a good person and pulled her sister back. What do you mean, let it go? Sis, you're too kind. You can't be soft-hearted towards women like her. Hwamin frowned and crossed his arms as he looked at the two girls in front of him. Nice double act. You two are drama actors, right? Hwamin looked at them, amused. Drama? I'll tell you the truth, Hwamian, I don't like you, so what? There are no good people in the Hua family. Hua Xiqian is a womanizer, and Hua Yinyan shamelessly seduced the young master of the Shun family. How dare you try to steal Hua Xiqian from Wang? Hua Si is even more useless. Oh, right. I heard that he's not even a part of the Hua family. His mother had an affair with another man and gave birth to him. You, on the other hand, always steal other people's lovers. You're so shameless. Anyway, there are no good people in the Hua family. Miss, please make yourself clear. How did I snatch him? My cousin has been living with the Qin family since she was 8 years old. She treats the two elders of the Qin family like her own parents. She is also in love with Qin Chu. Oh, really? If that's the case, why isn't she Mrs. Qin? Hwamin asked calmly. That's because you shamelessly interfered and ruined the relationship between my cousin and brother Qin Chu. Okay? If they're really in love, no one can ruin it, right? That's because you're too scheming and vicious. My cousin has always been kind. Of course, she can't compare to you, Song Yishuan argued. Hwamin glanced at Song Yisher coldly. Is this how you teach your sister? Part of what she said is true. I didn't know Qin Chu when I was 8 years old. Hwamin smiled faintly. If that's the case, then you met him too late. Qin Chu was born on the same day as him at the hospital. That's the girl who was born on the same day as him. That's the girl who was born on the same day as Qin Chu. What's the point of you two taking up the highway and talking nonsense with me? Hwamin was very logical and never lost in an argument. His words made the two women's faces turn red. Indeed, if they were talking about earlier, 8 years old was nothing. Being born at the same time was more important. You're being unreasonable, Song Yishuan yelled angrily. Xian, let's go, Song Yisher said. I'm sorry, but you guys can't leave right now. My car was hit by you guys. You have to give me an explanation, right? Hwamin said with a smile. She wasn't that generous. Her car was hit, yet she still had to pay for it. Money wasn't a big deal, but she couldn't let this go. Chapter 1188. Don't worry. I won't go back on my word with your crappy car, Song Yishuan said shamelessly. Hwamin was speechless. Crappy car? How dare she call his car crappy? An Audi R8 was many times better than a BMW X5. Okay? If she drove a Bugatti Veyron, then it would be reasonable for her to say something like that. Hwamin realized that the Song family was truly annoying. Don't worry, I won't scam you. The insurance company will be here in a bit, and we'll give you a detailed list of the compensation. You can just transfer the money when the time comes. Hwamin was easy to talk to. You crashed, pay, and leave. The process was simple. However, someone didn't know what to do. Song Yishuan rolled her eyes and suddenly said, I heard that you're a genius. I've never said anything like that, Yi Zichen said. It wasn't that Hwamin was trying to be low-key, but it was true that she never said that she was a genius. That was what other people said, but that's what other people say. Song Yishuan was obviously not convinced. That's other people's business. It doesn't represent my opinion. Anyways, I heard that you're an all-rounder. You can learn things that other people take 10 years to learn in less than a year. You can learn things that other people take 5 years to learn in less than a month. Isn't that an exaggeration? What do you want? Just say it. We're all busy, and I don't have time to play word games with you. Hwamin looked at his watch. He really didn't have the patience. Being around someone he didn't like was torturous. Now, whenever he saw Song Yisher, Hwamin would be in a bad mood. Okay, then I'll make it simple. Do you dare to race with me? Race? Hwamin was slightly surprised. Xian, don't. It's too dangerous. Let's go, we'll pay her back. Song Yisher seemed to be trying to stop her, but that woman had a temper. The more you try to stop her, the more she wanted to do it. Therefore, Hwamin couldn't help but suspect that Song Yisher wasn't trying to stop her. Instead, She was trying to use her cousin's personality to start a war. Yes, do you dare? Let's have a match. What's the benefit of racing with you? The benefit is that if you beat me, I'll buy you a new R8. It's only a million-yuan car. Song Yishuan's tone was arrogant. It was true that Song Yishuan could drive a sports car worth millions of yuan, but she had to keep a low profile because she was a family member of an official. She did have a lot of money, so she didn't care about this 1 million. What if I lose? Huamin asked again. If you lose, you have to apologize to my cousin in person and admit that you stole her beloved man. That's not fair. How about this? If I win, the Song sisters will have to avoid me whenever Huamin, appears. Make way for me. What do you think? Shameless. Song Yishuan was furious. Xian, are you confident that you can win? Song Yishu lowered her voice. Don't worry, sister. I often race when I was abroad. I'm very good at drifting. Song Yishuan was very confident. Song Yishu nodded in relief. If she lost, she would have to make way for Huamin whenever she saw him. That would be too stupid. If you agree, then we'll bet. If you don't, then forget it. Huamin made up his mind and began to discuss the stakes. We agree, but we have one more request, Song Yishuan said. What is it? We have to change the track. This is a highway, and it's very dangerous to race here. There are a lot of cars. Sure, where do you want to go? Huamin asked. Akina Mountain, what do you think? Song Yishuan raised her head and asked provocatively. Huamin smiled meaningfully. Akina Mountain? That's not racing, that's suicide. That mountain was famous for being steep, and the track was very crooked. Even normal drivers had to be careful. Why did this woman want to race there? So, are you really going to die? You don't want to race, do you? Huamin glanced at the Song sisters coldly. What? Are you scared? Song Yishuan raised her chin and looked up at him with her nose in the air. She looked like a scoundrel. Song Yishu, on the other hand, didn't say anything. It seemed like she wanted to use Song Yishuan to teach Huamin a lesson. After 3 seconds of silence, Huamin glanced at Song Yishu and said, Sure, but I want her to sit in the passenger seat. Upon hearing this, Song Yishu's face darkened. She had to admit that Huamin was ruthless enough to drag her into this race. Chapter 1189. It's between us. Why are you dragging my cousin into this mess? If you're scared, just say it, you coward. Song Yishuan seemed to think that her cousin was being treated unfairly. If it weren't for your cousin, why would we have this problem? So, if you can't stay out of this, then let's go together. My request is simple. If you don't agree, I won't race with you. Cousin. Song Yishuan looked at Song Yishu with a troubled expression on her face. Xian, forget it, we won't race. Pay your money and let's go home. Song Yishu was truly scared. Every year, countless racing enthusiasts died in car accidents at the Akina Mountain Raceway. The locals called it the Road of Death. What kind of joke was this, letting her sit in the passenger seat? She was playing with her life. This time, she really wanted Song Yishuan to back out of the race. However, this cousin of hers was great in every way, except for her stubborn temper. The more you don't want me to do something, the more I want to do the opposite. Therefore, when Song Yishu tried to persuade her, she became even more arrogant. Don't worry, cousin. You can sit in my car. No one else will. I've been racing for 6 years, Song Yishuan promised. She was only 24 years old this year, the same age as Huamin, but she had been driving for 6 years. Needless to say, she was quite arrogant. When she was 18 years old, she got her driver's license and started drifting. Even when she was overseas, she often hung out with people from racing clubs. She definitely had no problems. Also, she observed Huamin's car for a while. Huamin didn't drive fast and was very stable. Therefore, he probably wasn't the kind of person who could drive a car. Huamin's car was an Audi R8, which was a trendy sports car. Song Yishuan's X5 was an off-road car, so she might have an advantage when it came to mountain roads. Song Yishuan thought that she had no problems with the car. She should be able to crush that Huamin in no time. That's why she was so confident in letting her cousin sit in her car. But Song Yishu wanted to say something, but was interrupted by her cousin. Don't say any more, cousin. It's settled. Don't you want revenge? I'll help you. Maybe that woman will get into a car accident and die. We won't have to do anything. Then, Brother Chu won't be yours. Song Yishuan lowered her voice and whispered into Song Yishu's ear. Song Yishuan was young, but she had a vicious heart. She had entered the race with the attitude that she would die if the car crashed. I don't think that's a good idea. Song Yishu was in a dilemma. Although she wanted Huamin to leave Qin Chu, she never wanted her to disappear. Asking her to die, this idea was a bit scary. If Qin Chu knew about this, he definitely wouldn't let him off, right? Song Yishuan saw her cousin's concern and added, "It's an accident that she got into this accident. Cousin, don't worry, they won't blame it on us. We had a verbal agreement. Who would know that we raced with her?" Then, before Song Yishu could say anything, Song Yishuan dragged her into the car. "Let's meet at the top of Akina Mountain in 15 minutes for the official race, okay?" "Okay." Huomi nodded. Then, both parties drove to Akina Mountain. The back of Huomin's car wasn't seriously damaged. It was supposed to be a small accident, and they could just pay for it. However, Song Yishuan didn't let it go and insisted on racing. Huomin obviously knew what they were thinking. Since she agreed to the race, she was confident. She had been following the rules and driving slowly all these years. In fact, she wanted to indulge in drifting for a while. Plus, if she won, Song Yishu would avoid her whenever she saw her in the future. What a great decision. That was why she made such a daring decision. The race at Akina Mountain was decided with a single thought. Inside GK's office, Qin Chu's left eyelid began to twitch. Every time something like this happened, it was always when Huomin got into trouble. He picked up his phone and dialed a familiar number. "Honey?" Huomin felt guilty and immediately called out sweetly. Qin Chu felt like something was wrong. One who was unaccountably solicitous was hiding evil intentions. "Honey, where are you?" Chapter 1190. "I'm on my way home," Huomin answered cheerfully. "Really?" Qin Chu was obviously suspicious. "Of course. You're not home yet." Qin Chu looked at his watch and felt that it was a bit late. "Not yet, I actually want to buy groceries and cook for myself." "Is your chef's cooking not good enough? Are you sick of it? Do you want to hire a few more chefs?" Qin Chu knew that Huomin had always loved cooking, so he suggested, No, it's good enough. Ever since we moved to South Hill Manor, I've gained more than 5 kilograms. This was true. Huomin used to weigh only 94 kilograms, but now she was more than 97 kilograms. She was only 5 kilograms away from breaking 100 kilograms. People always said that beauties were less than 100 kilograms. If she continued to grow like this, she probably wouldn't be able to be called a beauty for the rest of her life. "You're still skinny. Eat more and gain another 5 kilograms. Qin Chu gave her a target. "Damn it, just package me like a pig." Huomin protested. However, her protest was futile. "Honey, it's cold outside. Come home early. I'll be back as soon as I'm done." Qin Chu was still worried. "Okay, honey, I'll wait for you at home," Huomin answered guiltily. Then, she hung up the phone. Qin Chu raised his hand to touch his left eyelid, but it was still twitching. "Is there anything else important later?" Qin Chu looked at Yang and asked. He thought that if there wasn't anything important, he would go home early. Although Huomin agreed, he still didn't feel at ease. "Sir, we're having dinner with President Liu of Wanha tonight. We're going to talk about the water village project that our two companies are developing together." Qin Chu didn't say anything. The water village project took about a year and a half to come up with a preliminary plan. The two companies would each invest 10 billion yuan to develop Sea City's tourism industry. The government gave them a piece of land by the sea for free so that these entrepreneurs could drive the local economy. Although Sea City was a small city that wasn't well known in the country right now, the per capita income and consumption wasn't low. This place was also full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. At present, the top entertainment companies in the country were here. The headquarters of the largest private bank, Su Family Bank, was also here. The most famous conglomerate in Asia, GK, was here as well. Therefore, Qinshu was also optimistic about the tourism industry in the city and planned to develop it well. It could be considered as a contribution to his hometown. Since he was going to have dinner with President Liu that night, Qinshu didn't want to postpone or cancel it, so he gave up on the idea of going home early to supervise Huamin. Therefore, then Huamian would have the capital to cause trouble again. At the top of the Akina mountain track, 2 cars were parked side by side on the track. This was not a tourist attraction, and the roads were not good, so there were very few people in cars. Occasionally, a few cars could be seen, but they were all racing enthusiasts who drove them for fun. Huamin gripped the steering wheel tightly. He only had one goal today. He had to win. Paying for her R8 in full was a small matter, but the Song sisters had to stay away from her in the future. This was a big deal. In order to stop the flies and mosquitoes from harassing him, Huamin decided he was going to give it his all. Before this, she had something to announce to everyone, and that was she had never raced before. Inside the other BMW X5, Song Yishuan looked at Song Yishur, who was sitting beside her. "Sis, are you done investigating?" "Yeah, I found it." Song Yishur kept scrolling through her phone and sending WeChat messages. "What's going on? What did they say? Hurry up and tell me." Song Yishuan was eager to try. She had been looking forward to the thrill of racing, so she couldn't wait any longer. Chapter 1191. It's true that Huamin has never raced before. The Department of Transportation doesn't even have a record of her breaking the rules. At most, she'll run a few red lights. Look at the video that they send over. Her driving skills are average, and she doesn't have much skill. Song Yishur read some information that one of her acquaintances sent over. The sisters wanted to study Huamian thoroughly. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you'll win every battle. Then that's easy. Just wait and see. I'll make sure she dies a horrible death, Song Yishuan said viciously. Then she rolled down the window and gestured. Huamin rolled down the window as well. "Let's compare our watches. Mine is 6:58 p.m. Okay. Huamin nodded. "Once it's 7 o'clock p.m., we'll start. Whoever gets to the sign at the foot of the mountain first wins." "Okay." Huamin continued to nod. "If someone surrenders, breaks down, or gets into an accident, the other party won't be responsible for it." "Sure. To be fair, we both have to record a short video." Song Yishuan's request was actually made by Song Yishur. She was afraid that if something happened to Huamin, she would be implicated, so she came up with this idea. Is it really that troublesome? Huamin was a little helpless. "Of course it's necessary. If something happens to you, do you want us to be responsible?" "Haha, you're right. If something happens to you guys, then I'll be implicated as well." "That's a good idea." Huamin nodded and took out his phone. Both parties had to sign a letter of guarantee to ensure that nothing would go wrong. "Oh no, it's too late. Let's start at 7:03 p.m., Song Yishuan said. Huamin nodded again, indicating that he had no objections. Then the two of them rolled up their windows. They quietly looked at their watches. As soon as it was 7:03, the 2 cars rushed over at high speed. Because they were both luxury cars that cost more than 1,000,000 yuan, their starting speed was quite impressive. It was Huamin's first time running the Akina mountain track, so he was at a disadvantage because he didn't know the terrain well. Song Yishuan, on the other hand, had an advantage. Every year, when she returned to China, she would come here to play with her friends. Therefore, they were very familiar with each other. In this way, after running for less than 5 minutes, the distance between them had widened. Huamin was left in the dust by a good 5 meters. The mountain road was very winding. On one side was a steep mountain wall, and on the other side was a very high cliff. Usually, drivers would be very careful on such roads. And these 2 women were really drunk to be racing on such a mountain road. Song Yishuan did have 2 boys, and they were good at driving. However, Song Yishur, who was sitting in the passenger seat, was scared witless. Xian, slow down. Sis, don't be silly. If I drive slower, that whole guy catches up with me when I lose. Song Yishuan obviously didn't listen to Song Yishu and continued occasionally. She would drift, and it was a very exciting scene. Huamin wasn't in a hurry because he knew that this road was very bad. The fastest they could finish was 12 minutes. It had only been 5 minutes, so there was no need to rush. As the saying goes, the one who laughs last laughs best. Therefore, she didn't work on her speed from the start. Even though she was left behind, she wasn't in a hurry. She just drove steadily. Song Yishuan looked in the rearview mirror and smiled proudly. Sis, to be honest, we're definitely going to win this time. It's hard to say. There's still time. Song Yishu didn't dare to let down her guard. Don't worry, watch me, Song Yishuan said as she continued to speed up, as if she wanted to widen the distance between her and Huamin. Chapter 1192. First, she observed Song Yishuan's strategy. Her strategy was simple. She just drifted and raced. When she made a turn, she drifted so much that the tires squeaked. After a while, Huamin realized that although the mountain road was steep, it was very regular. Every minute or so, there would be a big turn. Therefore, as long as she made a perfect turn, she would be able to catch up to Song Yishuan in a matter of minutes. Then, Huamin stepped on the gas pedal. Her beloved Audi sped out, extremely nimble. She counted in her heart for 60 seconds and then made a beautiful turn. It wasn't a drift, but a very natural turn. It was even more perfect than Song Yishuan's showy maneuver. Just like that, after 3 minutes and 3 turns, Huamin caught up. When they caught up, Huamin stepped on the gas pedal again, and the car sped forward like it was flying. Song Yishuan was suddenly thrown more than 3 meters away by Huamin. What the? No way. That woman is so fast. She caught up so quickly. No way. This doesn't make sense. Song Yishuan was dumbfounded. Don't underestimate her. She's very smart. I think she found a trick, Song Yishu said with hostility as she tightly held onto her seatbelt. It's okay. Even so, I have a way to deal with her. Then, Song Yishuan sped up and followed closely behind Huamin's car. Then, with a bang, she crashed into the back of Huamin's car. Huamin's car jerked forward. Xian, we all have driving cameras now. Why are you doing this? Song Yishu's eyes widened. She always thought that she was cruel, but she didn't expect her cousin to be even more cruel. She couldn't beat Song Yishuan, so she crashed into the back of Song Yishuan's car. At this speed, the car in front of Song Yishuan could easily flip over if they collided. I already said that you don't know anything about cars. When the time comes, I'll smash the dash cam and no one will know. Besides, we all have our own recordings in our phones. Didn't you say that the competition is voluntary? What does her accident have to do with me? Besides, even if someone really did find us, do you think my father and your father's power isn't enough to deal with it? You're making a fuss over nothing. Song Yishuan was used to being bossy since she was young, so she didn't think that this was a problem. Huamin was in a bad mood after she bumped into him. How dare this woman play dirty with me? Huamin gritted his teeth and cursed. Huamin should have known that they would be so despicable. He steeled his heart and continued to speed up. Song Yishuan followed closely behind her and refused to let up. It seemed like she wanted to continue bumping into her, and Huamin would not give her the chance. With such a fast speed, if she bumped into him when he turned a corner, he would fall off the cliff. That would cost him his life. Therefore, Huamin was still moving left and right as he accelerated. His reaction was extremely fast. Song Yishuan wanted to bump into him, but she didn't have the chance to do so. Song Yishuan gripped the steering wheel tightly. Not bad. That woman is very smart. She used this trick to avoid me. Haha. I told you she wasn't easy to deal with. You're too reckless. Yishuan. Song Yishu sounded like she was complaining. Don't worry, I've been racing for so many years. I won't lose to a newbie. Cousin, hold on tight. I'm going to give her a fatal blow. Then, Song Yishuan began to make a sharp turn and drift. Song Yishu was so scared that she covered her eyes with her hands and didn't dare to look. She actually regretted it. She wanted her cousin to bully Huamin, but she didn't think that she would be dragged into this. The person sitting in the front passenger seat was basically putting her life in someone else's hands. This wasn't racing, this was risking her life. Chapter 1193. The wheels squealed again, and several times, Song Yishur felt like the car was going to fall off the cliff. In the end, she was so scared that she closed her eyes. After a few more tries, Song Yishuan finally caught up to Huamin. Huamin, on the other hand, was pushed to the outside by her dirty tricks while she was on the inside. One was on the inside, while the other was on the outside. Obviously, the person on the outside was at a disadvantage. At this moment, Song Yishuan smiled sinisterly. Then, she suddenly turned the steering wheel and headed towards Huamin's direction. Her goal was obvious. She wanted to knock Huamian off the edge of the cliff. The road was so narrow, and she had no doubt used all of her strength to force the car open. Xian. Song Yishur saw through her intentions and was so scared that her face turned pale. If she really knocked Huamin off the cliff and died, the two sisters would be indirectly murdered. Song Yishuan's car was about to crash into Huamin's R8. Huamin suddenly slammed on the brakes. The brakes of $1 million luxury car were extremely flexible. She slammed on the brakes, and the car suddenly stopped. However, Song Yishuan's car was still running. Therefore, when she crashed into Huamin, she was faster than him and fell off the cliff. Ah! Two deafening screams were heard. They came from Song Yishuan's BMW X5. Song Yishuan originally wanted to kill Huamin, but she failed and fell off the cliff. She deserved it. After Huamin stopped the car, he immediately opened the door and got out. He looked around and realized that the cliff wasn't very high. The most dangerous part was over, and there was a 3-meter deep ditch below. The trees were dense, so the BMW X5 fell off the cliff and into the ditch. There were even tree trunks around it. It wasn't a big problem. After hesitating for 5 seconds, Huamin took out his phone and called 120. 20 minutes later, the 120 came and carried the injured Song sisters away. Damn it, the 110 came as well. Song Yishur, who was stuck in a car, was scared and called many times for help. She never thought that Huamin would call for help. The funniest part was that when she called 110, she purposely said that her car was hit and that Huamin wanted to murder her. After her explanation, Huamin couldn't clear his name. Therefore, he was brought back to the municipal bureau. Why are you here again? In the municipal bureau station, Gao ran and looked at Huamin, speechless. He couldn't even remember how many times Huamian had been sent to the municipal public security bureau. To is Huamin? Mean Huamin? Huamin S's. What's going on? Why are you here this time? Gao Ran just came back from a case, so he didn't know that Huamin was racing with the Song sisters. Racing? Huamin calmly answered. Uffed. Gao Ran spat out a mouthful of tea. Luckily, Huamin reacted quickly. He lowered his head, and the tea splashed onto the face of the young policeman behind him. Captain Gao, you don't have any more tea, right? I'll get you some more. Not only was the young policeman not angry, he even tried to suck up to Gao Ran and poured more tea for him. This made it easier for the two of them to talk. Racing? Are you okay? What did you start racing? Does Mr. Qin know? Huamin shook his head. If he knew, he would kill you for sure. Kill you is the right thing to do. If Zhu Lingling did that, I would kill her too. Don't you know that racing is risking your life? Gao Ran was speechless. Qin Shu was worried sick that he had such a troublesome wife like Huamin. I was also provoked. Anyways, it's not my fault, Huamin said confidently. Really? If it's not your fault, then fine. I'll call Mr. Qin right now and ask him to bail you out. Then, Gao Ran took out his phone and pretended to make a call. Chapter 1194. Hey, Gao Ran, let's talk this out. Huamin immediately grabbed Gao Ran's hand. She had made up her mind that there was no way she would let Qin Chu bail her out. She would rather be detained for 24 hours. Can we talk this out? This is a big deal. Qin Chu has to know about it. But I can't let him bail me out now. I'll just buy some time. Huamin had made up her mind not to let Qin Chu bail her out. Every time Qin Chu bailed her out, he would beat her up for half a day. That atmosphere was truly terrifying. But no buts. Anyways, if you dare to call Qin Chu, I'll tell Ling Ling that I saw you having dinner with Lin Xuejiao. Fuck. Is that even possible? Gao Ran was speechless. If you don't believe me, you can try. Let's see who she believes. Huamin smirked. Even if Huamin framed her, Zhu Lingling would definitely believe it. The problem was, the two sisters were very close. Gao Ran thought about the pros and cons, and decided that he couldn't take the risk of calling Qin Chu. So here was the problem. You're in such a serious situation this time. If Qin Chu doesn't bail you out, who are you going to bail you out? Me? Gao Ran asked in all seriousness. The truth was, as a member of the Municipal Public Security Bureau, especially the captain, he wasn't allowed to bail people out. To avoid suspicion, Gao Ran never bailed people out. However, if Huamin wanted to, he could make an exception. Can I ask Ling Ling to bail me out? Huamin asked. She's on the plane. Gao Ran replied. Okay, I'll call Xiaowei. 20 minutes later, Jiang Xiaowei arrived at the Municipal Public Security Bureau in a Mercedes-Benz RV. Ever since she got pregnant, she basically drove a Mercedes-Benz every time she went out because she was afraid that she would be too tired. Therefore, the Wei family hired a very good chauffeur. Girl, I'm here. Jiang Xiaowei walked in with a branded handbag. She was wearing a long black cotton coat, so her belly was not that obvious. Slightly, thank you for your hard work. Huamin gave Jiang Xiaowei an affectionate hug. Shoo shoo shoo. Why are you being so courteous with me? Seriously. Then, Jiang Xiaowei looked at Gao Ran. Sergeant Gao, am I qualified? Bail me on out? Dr. Jiang, this way please. Gao Ran didn't know whether to laugh or cry. One Huamin was enough of a headache, and now there was another Jiang Xiaowei. Seriously, if he didn't let her go, the two of them would probably overturn the city police station. Before leaving, Huamin suddenly asked, any news from the hospital? How are the Song sisters? Apparently, Song Yishuan's injuries are superficial, but Song Yishu's injuries are more serious. Apparently, her nose is caved in. She needs plastic surgery because she was sitting in the passenger seat. Huamin didn't know what to say. She wasn't the type to gloat over other people's misfortunes. He didn't sympathize with Song Yishu because no one could sympathize with someone like her. Anyone with common sense would know that the moment a car accident happened, the driver would instinctively protect himself. Therefore, the unlucky ones were usually the ones sitting in the passenger seat. It seemed like Song Yishu was seriously injured this time. Then what do they want? Are they still going to sue me? Huamin thought that if the Song sisters continued to make unreasonable accusations against her, then she was going to release the video to the public. It was the video that was recorded before the race. This was originally a video that Song Yishuan saved to hurt Huamin, but now it became the evidence that Huamin used to clear her name. Needless to say, it was very good. No, the Song family probably didn't want to make a big deal out of it, so they withdrew the lawsuit. They'll pay for the medical expenses themselves. That's right. Those two bitches went for wool and came home shorn. They wanted to hurt me on, but they got the short end of the stick. I only want to say 7 words. Jiang Xiaowei said, feeling better. What's 7 words? Gao Ren looked confused. Chapter 1195. Serve you right. You're so unlucky. Gao Ran. Huamin. That's a good point. Let's go, Mrs. Qin. Treat me to a big meal. Then Jiang Xiaowei put her arm around Huamin's shoulder, and the two of them walked out of the Municipal Public Security Bureau intimately. Because Huamin's car was damaged, he had to be towed to a 4S store. They got into Xiaowei's Mercedes-Benz. Xiaowei, what do you want to eat? How about a roasted lamb leg? Jiang Xiaowei asked with a smile. That's exactly what I wanted. I've been preparing for a few days now. If Mr. Qin wasn't so busy, we would have gone already. Let's go for lamb leg. Let's go. Then the chauffeur drove them to a big Mongolian hotel in the city center. It was called the Grassland Family. The hotel was in the shape of a yurt. It was beautiful and luxurious. The owner was a Mongolian, a fierce Mongolian man. The sheep were all from the grassland, and business was booming. The two of them went straight into a luxurious yurt. They ordered a 4-pound roasted lamb leg, as well as many side dishes and meat skewers. Wouldn't it be a waste if it's just the two of us? How about we call our family members? Jiang Xiaowei suggested. You call your family, I'll pass. Huh? I'm still in shock after such a big accident. I'm scared that if Mr. Qin finds out, I'll be dead meat. Okay, I'll call Wei Liao to come. No problem. You two can eat as much as you want. It's my treat, Huamin said with a lofty look on his face. Jiang Xiaowei immediately took out her phone and called Wei Liao. She didn't say that Huamin was treating, she just said that she was having roasted lamb leg. Wei Liao, Su Yu, and Tang Chuan were playing billiards and hadn't eaten yet. When they heard that Huamian had ordered a roasted lamb leg, they were all shocked. When they heard that Huamian had roasted lamb leg, the three of them were very interested. Hence, the three of them drove to the hotel in 3 sports cars that attracted a lot of attention. When they entered the yurt, Su Yu saw that Huamin was there. Oh, Dr. Hua, you're here too? Tang Chuan had always loved to joke around, so when he saw Huamin, he immediately put on a cheeky smile. Yeah, so be careful with your words. You might be in danger of being exposed. Huamin replied humorously. Slightly, you didn't say Mian was here, huh? Wei Liao was a bit embarrassed. Fuck, you're blaming me? You didn't say that all 3 of you would come. Jiang Xiaowei was also dumbfounded. This couple is amazing, it's fine. It's good that you're here. Let's eat together. Huamin tried to smooth things over. Oh yeah, it's Mian's treat today. Eat whatever you want, huh? Thank you, Dr. Hua. Then I won't hold back. Haha, let's start with a bottle of the most expensive wine. Tang Chuan was the one who shouted. Huamin was immediately speechless. You're a professional scammer. Su Yu slapped the back of Tang Chuan's neck. Tang Chuan grimaced. Haha, it's fine. If we exceed our budget, we have you, the super rich guy, right? We have nothing to be afraid of. Tang Chuan made up his mind. If Su Yu was here, then no one else would have to pay the bill. This was the benefit of having a super rich friend. What's so good that you're treating us to dinner? Wei Liao was smarter. So he looked at Huamin and asked a key question. I was detained by the police, and then your family slightly bailed me out. Is that a good thing? Huamin smiled. Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, Su Yu. Su Yu was the first to react. He looked at Huamin worriedly and asked, Why did you go in? Did you get into a fight again? Note that Su Yu used the word again. It seemed like Huamin had become an indelible tomboy in Su Yu's heart. Chapter 1196. Drag Racing. Huamin whispered, feeling a little guilty. Tang Chuan was holding a teacup and drinking the yurt's specialty milk tea. He almost spat it out. Oh my God, drag racing. Tang Chuan yelled in shock. Wei Liao, Su, it's true, I can testify. Jiang Xiaowei immediately raised her hand to testify when she saw how shocked everyone was. Drag racing alone isn't enough to detain you. At most, you'll be fined. Lord Su was the most knowledgeable. Huamin lowered his head even more. I was drag racing with Song Yishuan. Song Yishuan, the precious daughter of the director of the Land Bureau? Tang Chuan asked. Huamin nodded. Song Yishu was sitting in the front passenger seat. Huamin continued. We're not going to race. We're going to get revenge, right? Wei Liao interrupted. Su Yu, on the other hand, was very calm. However, Huamin's last sentence almost made Su Yu jump. She said, Then we had a race at the Akina Mountain racetrack. Tang Chuan, Akina Mountain? Road of Death. Wei Liao, heroine, I admire you immensely. Do you want to die? Su Yu stared at Huamin and yelled angrily. He hadn't gotten angry at Huamin for a long time. Jiang Xiaowei couldn't stay calm when she saw Su Yu's expression. Huh? What's going on? What's wrong with the Akina Mountain racetrack? Why do all of you have such weird expressions? Jiang Xiaowei didn't like to study racing, so she didn't know what kind of racetrack Akina Mountain racetrack was. When she went to bail him out, she only knew that Huamin and the Song sisters raced, but she didn't ask for details. Before anyone else could speak, Wei Liao explained. The Aquina Mountain racetrack is known as the Road of Death for racers. It's one of the 3 most difficult racetracks in China. The terrain is extremely complicated, with lots of turns and steep cliffs, so a lot of people get into accidents while racing. Every year, a lot of people die. That racetrack has been banned by official racetracks for years. Only those who like to race cars would go there, but if you're not good, you can't win, you can't finish. Of course, we didn't go there once 5 years. It's not only was it rain, we almost flipped it. It's also cliffs and cliffs. But if yours not, it's of course. After Wei Liao finished speaking, Jiang Xiaowei fell silent. What kind of race did Huamin and the Song sisters just go through? Seeing that Huamin didn't say anything, Su Yu asked with a cold expression, "You think you're a good driver?" "No," Huamin replied. "Then you think you're lucky?" "Not really, just one." Huamin continued to answer honestly. "Then you think it's exciting?" "No, it's not." My heart almost stopped. Huamin continued to answer questions. "So, the result of your race with the Song sisters was?" Song Yishuan bumped into me when she was turning a corner. Then, I slammed on the brakes, and the 2 of them flipped over. Then I called 120. Huamin confessed everything like a criminal. Tang Chuan and Wei Liao worshipped her like she was a god. "Goddess Hua, please accept a bow from your little brother." Tang Chuan put his hands together and laughed. She was really fast when she was turning. You shouldn't have been able to react in time when she suddenly bumped into you. How did you stop in time? That's amazing. How did you do it? Wei Liao was a very meticulous person, and he always paid attention to details. Chapter 1197. I actually didn't react in time. I guessed that she would hit me at this point, so I was prepared to step on the brakes. But how did you know she was going to hit you here? Wei Liao looked surprised. Because we were parallel, and it was also the last big turn of the track. If she didn't hit me at that point, she probably wouldn't have had a chance. But it's not like the Song sisters to not use some tricks, so Huamin didn't finish his sentence, but everyone knew what he wanted to say. "Mian, didn't you say that you weren't familiar with that track? How did you know it was the last big turn?" Jiang Xiaowei asked carefully. "I really wasn't familiar with it. I just memorized it when I was driving up the mountain." Wei Liao, Tang Chuan, Jiang Xiao, Huamin memorized all the turns of the Aquina Mountain racetrack, and even knew which one was the biggest one. This abnormal memory, was it really that heaven-defying? "So you think you're awesome and proud?" Su Yu's face was as dark as it could get. Even Wei Liao and Tang Chuan hadn't seen Su Yu this angry in a long time. It was like the sign of a storm. "No, I'm proud. I just feel good because I won the bet." Huamin answered in a small voice. "You still had a bet?" "Ha, what bet? Tell us." Tang Chuan loved to gossip, so he immediately started asking questions. "Didn't Song Yishuan rear-end my car on the highway? She said that if I dared to race with her, she would pay me the full price of my Audi R8. It was like buying a new one." "You raced for a $1 million car? Is your life that worthless?" So you roared angrily. This was also the reason why he was the most angry. He was really scared. Fortunately, it was the Song sisters who were in trouble. What if something happened to Huamin? What was he supposed to do? 1 million is just a small matter. The important thing is that if I win, they promise me that whenever I appear in public in the future, they'll make way for me. You know, I really don't like Song Yishu, and I also hate her cousin whom I met for the first time this year. So, I think I can give it a try. Huamin said calmly, "But what if you lose?" Wei Liao was a little scared. "I won't lose," Huamin said proudly. His Tsundra index had surpassed Qin Shu's, but I heard that Song Yishuan really started out as a racer. "You sure have guts. You're a newbie, yet you chose to race against an experienced racer at a place like Aquina Mountain. You're a god. Other than you, I'll never respect anyone else in my life." Tang Chuan gave Huamin a thumbs up. This time, he wasn't teasing him. He truly admired Huamin. Brains and driving skills were only a part of it. What he admired the most was Huamin's courage. Normally, girls would tremble at the sight of roads like Aquina Mountain. They wouldn't even dare to drive normally, let alone race. "Does Qin Shu know what you're doing?" So you asked coldly. No, I don't want him to know. He'll skin me alive. Huamin bit down on her lips, looking dazed. Good. Then I'll call Qin Chu right now. Suyu was infuriated. He stood up and took out his phone to call Qin Chu. He didn't have the right to discipline Huamin, but Qin Chu did. Chapter 1198. With Huamin's impudent personality, it was impossible for him not to teach it a lesson. Don't call me. Let's talk nicely. Mr. Warrior. Huamin snatched Suyu's phone away. She looked like a little girl. Suyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. You're scared? What were you thinking when you were racing? Are you out of your mind? Suyu cursed angrily. I just wanted to torture the Song sisters. Is it worth it for those 2 pieces of trash? Suyu asked angrily. Before Huamin could answer, he suddenly heard a familiar voice from his phone. Hello? Suyu dialed the number, but he didn't make the call. Huamin, on the other hand, dialed the number. So, the voice that came from Suyu's phone in Huamin's hand was Qin Chu's. She was scared out of her wits when she thought of this. Huamin immediately made a shushing gesture to the others, then he handed the phone to Suyu. Suyu was a little nervous. He only wanted to scare Huamin and didn't really plan on calling Qin Chu. However, he accidentally dialed the number. Hello? What do you want from me? Suyu took the phone and asked awkwardly. You're calling me, and you're asking me what I want from you? Qin Chu was speechless. Although he didn't talk to Suyu on the phone, Suyu's phone number wasn't a secret in their circle. Qin Chu immediately knew who was on the other end of the line. Ahem. I actually didn't want to talk to you about anything. I just wanted to ask if you ate yet. Do you think we could just chat casually with someone like you? Are you crazy? Mr. Qin said calmly. You're right. That's all then. Bye. Then, before Qin Chu could say anything, Suyu immediately hung up. Beside them, Huamian finally let out a sigh of relief. It was a good thing that this annoying person didn't tell Mr. Qin, or else he would have been taught a lesson. Just then, the waiter brought over a lamb leg that was sizzling with oil. Immediately, the aroma of food filled the air. You guys eat first? I'm gonna leave, huh? Huamian was still worried and decided to leave first. But you haven't eaten yet. Jiang Xiaowei didn't want him to leave. We'll eat another day. Huh? Today's expenses are on me. It's my treat. Everyone, enjoy yourselves. Then, before the others could react, Huamin's picked up his bag, left. He was so fast. What's going on? The person who's treating us ran away. Tang Chuan laughed. She's probably afraid that Qin Chu will find out what happened today. Qin Chu is very worried about Huamin. If he finds out that she went racing at Akina Mountain, the consequences won't be good. Jiang Xiaowei said slowly as she held a pair of chopsticks in her mouth. Huamin is a smart girl. She looks like a good girl, but she's actually a troublemaker, Tang Chuan commented. A troublemaker needs to be strong. I heard that the 2 girls from the Song family were scared out of their wits. Luckily, they were lucky. When they flipped over, the ditch was only about 3 meters deep. If it was anywhere else, they would have been smashed into pieces. Jiang Xiaowei gloated. Huamin left the restaurant and called a cab to go home. Sure enough, less than 5 minutes after she got home, Qin Chu came home. She quickly changed into her pajamas and pretended that she had just woken up. Honey, you're back. And Machen, have you eaten? No. What do you want to eat? I'll make it for you. Qin Chu looked up, glanced at Huamian, and asked faintly, Did you do something wrong to me again? Chapter 1199. Ahem. How is that possible? Am I such a disobedient person? Huamin retorted guiltily. Sir, what would you like for dinner? I'll ask the kitchen to prepare it. Uncle Lee walked over and took Qin Chu's jacket. Just a bowl of noodles. I don't have anything I want to eat. As soon as Qin Chu finished speaking, Huamin rushed into the kitchen. Honey, I'll cook for you. Do you want spicy or light? Qin Chu didn't say anything. He just stared quietly at Huamin's face. Why are you looking at me like that? Huamin felt guilty again. I feel like you're hiding something from me. Ahem. How was that possible? Honey, you're thinking too much. Is it because of work stress that you're overthinking things? It's okay. I'll make you some soup later to help your brain. Then, Hwamin ran into the kitchen and didn't dare to show his face again. Chin Shu went upstairs to change his clothes and take a shower. Then, he took his tablet downstairs and started working in the living room. At night, most of the maids went to bed, so Hwamin told Uncle Lee not to tell Hwamin that he just came back. Half an hour later, Hwamin personally made a bowl of fragrant hot noodle soup. He even made Chin Shu a bowl of brightening eyes and nourishing spirit soup. It was actually made with cassia seeds, bitter chrysanthemum, and other important ingredients. Chin Shu sat in the living room and wolfed down the noodles. In fact, as long as it was made by Hwamin, he would eat it happily, no matter how bad it tasted. Hwamin cupped his face with his hands and quietly watched Mr. Chin eat. Handsome people. Even the way they ate was so elegant and charming. What a feast for the eyes. Why are you looking at me like that? Chin Shu looked up. Because you're handsome and easy on the eyes. Don't flatter me yet. Come, let me ask you, where's your car? When Chin Shu came back, he did not see the Audi R8 in the parking lot. So where was her car? This was a crucial question. Hwamin's heart was in his mouth again. The car is broken. How did it break? Chin Shu asked while eating. I accidentally bumped into someone on the way back. I drove it to the 4S store to get it fixed. Really? Who did you bump into? A pair of sisters. They're probably new and don't know how to drive, so they rear-ended each other. Hwamin continued to answer honestly. Then, how much did I pay you? That hasn't been calculated yet. They don't lack money. They said that when my car is repaired and the bill is out, they will compensate me together. Which part of the road did you hit? The highway. Hwamin was telling the truth. She was indeed on the highway when Song Yishuan rear-ended her car. Why didn't you tell me that something so big happened? It's not a big deal. You're so busy every day. How could I trouble you? Hwamin smiled guiltily. Chin Shu finished her noodles in a few bites and placed her chopsticks on the table. Then, she took out her phone and began talking. It's weird today, so you actually called me. Really? Hwamin felt even more guilty. Yeah, I think he wants to talk to me about something, but he didn't say anything. What do you think he wants to talk to me about? After speaking, Chin Shu leaned over and looked closely at Hwamin. She didn't dare to look directly at Chin Shu. She was afraid that he would see right through her. So he wants to talk to you? How would I know what he wants to talk to you about? Hwamin purposely avoided the topic. But I think that if Su Yu wants to talk to me, it must have something to do with you. So, honey, can you tell me what happened tonight? Chin Shu's tone was very gentle, but the more gentle it was, the more Hwamin was scared. It was like the calm before the storm. At this moment, Hwamin was in a dilemma. She was wondering if she should confess and ask for leniency, or if she should just deny it and continue to hide the truth. Chapter 1200. After hesitating for 5 seconds. In the end, Hwamin purposely looked up at the ceiling and said, "The weather is nice today. It's sunny and windy." The truth was, Hwamin didn't want to lie to Chin Shu, but she was really afraid that Mr. Chin would get angry. Every time Mr. Chin got angry, it would be like the ice age in the house. In the end, Chin Shu stared at Hwamin for a while, then took out his phone and placed it on the table. This video is going viral on WeChat today. It's pretty interesting. Take a look. Hwamin suspiciously picked up the phone and took a look. Holy shit, wasn't this a video of her and the Song sisters racing? From the visual angle, it looked like an aerial shot, but it was very clear. All of a sudden, Hwamin felt like she was struck by lightning. This. Hwamian stammered for a long time, unable to say anything. Don't you think the license plate looks familiar? Chin Shu looked at her with a smile in his eyes. It would have been better if Mr. Chin didn't smile, but when he did, she got goosebumps. Honey, I'm sorry. Hwamin saw that she couldn't hide the truth anymore, so she immediately started apologizing. Oh, you're sorry? What did you do wrong? I. Shouldn't you tell me that you lent your car to someone else to race? No, I didn't lend it to anyone else. I drove it myself. Huamin didn't want to weave any more lies, so she decided to come clean. That shouldn't be, my wife. You've always been a steady driver. Why would you race? Qin Shu purposely rubbed his chin and said, Honey, this is what happened. Then, during the 10-minute-long statement, Huamin explained the truth of what happened to Qin Shu. Everything she said was true, and she wasn't exaggerating at all. After hearing what she said, Qin Shu quietly asked, I'm not interested in anything else, and I don't want to know why you were racing or who you were racing with. How's the other person's injury? I just want to ask you, why did you race behind my back? It was an emergency, and I was angry, so I made a bet with her. Did you know that Song Yishuan is an amateur racer? No. Then did you know that the Akina Mountain track is known as the Road of Death? Qin Shu asked again. The smile on his face gradually disappeared, and his expression became colder and colder. Then have you ever thought about how I would feel if you were the one who got hit? Qin Shu's to Hui Qin Shu. Huamian. Huamian, you're so selfish. You only care about your own feelings and never consider mine. You have no idea how important you are to me. You treat this as a game, but it's a disaster for me. I'm a little tired. I don't want to say anything else. After Qin Shu finished speaking, he turned around and went upstairs with his tablet. Huamin was left alone in the living room. All alone and cold, she didn't feel good about it. After Qin Shu went upstairs, he went straight to his study and turned on his computer to do some work. The video was taken by some racing enthusiast who happened to be near Akina Mountain. They used a small aerial camera to take pictures of the two cars. Then, they crazily reposted it on their WeChat Moments. The title of the video was, If Your Girlfriend Drove Like This, Would You Dare to Ride in Her? Countless netizens commented that the two cars were too fast. Did they have a death wish? Some professional racers also praised. The owner of the Audi is amazing. Although she's not very good at driving, she's very stable and beautiful when she turns. The person who posted the video didn't want to get into trouble, so they censored the first 2 digits of the license plate. However, Qin Shu could still tell that it was Huamin's car. He wondered why his left eyelid kept twitching tonight. It turned out that his worrisome wife had caused trouble again. Just then, Qin Shu's phone rang. Chapter 1201. Qin Shu, I was careless about your wife. I'm sorry. After Rick fell in love with his girlfriend, he had been intimately attached to her. He used to send people to protect Huamin, but things have been peaceful recently, so he let his guard down. Now, Huamin's racing incident had spread throughout the industry. Rick immediately apologized to Qin Shu. It's okay, it's not your fault, my Mian is really a pain in the ass. Qin Shu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, call me if you need anything. Okay. The two men hung up after a few words at this time. Gao Ran sent him a WeChat voice message. Mr. Rich, come out and drink. How dare you ask me to drink with you? I haven't had the chance to settle the score with you for not telling me. Haha, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Gao Ren immediately felt guilty. Go on. Keep making things up. I'm getting more and more confused, huh? Gao Ran pretended to be confused, trying to get away with it. You used to think that we were on the same page and that we were still buddies. But now that you slept with Zhu Lingling, you betrayed her, right? You helped her hide it from me? No, how could I? You're still being stubborn. Good. Very good. Then swear that if you hide anything from me, you'll have erectile dysfunction for the rest of your life. Fuck. You're so evil. Gao Ran was so angry that he almost stomped his feet. If you dare to swear, I'll believe you. Qin Shu didn't give up. Fine, I give up. Qin Shu, you're so evil. I really shouldn't have done that. You're so smart. So you must know that Huamin needs to be taught a lesson, or else she'll be too stubborn. We're talking about you now. You're a police officer, but you're so spineless that you're betrayed by a woman. No, I'm innocent. You don't know how evil Huamin is. She said that if I didn't help her hide it from you, she would tell Lingling that I was dating Lin Xuejiao. You don't know how much Lingling trusts Huamin. Would I dare to take that risk? I've been single for 10,000 years and finally found a girlfriend. Can you bear to see me get dumped? Qin Shu chuckled softly. Huamian and her weren't family, and they wouldn't enter the same house. She even dared to threaten Gao Ran and made him obedient. She was really something else. The two of you should take care of your own business, right? Don't drag us down with you. I wish you a wonderful night. Goodbye. With that, Gao Ran started playing dead. He made up his mind that no matter what Qin Shu said, he wouldn't reply. Qin Shu looked at his watch. It had been almost 15 minutes since he went upstairs, according to his calculations. Huamin would definitely come and apologize within 20 minutes. When that time came, just wait and see. Gao Ran was right about one thing. It was time to teach this little wild horse of his a lesson. Otherwise, he would really be out of control. This time, he was racing. Next time, he would probably fly into the sky. Downstairs, Huamin racked his brains for a way to appease Mr. Qin. He seemed to be really angry, angrier than before. In the end, Huamin decided to use his ultimate move. After 20 minutes of stalemate, Huamin decided to take the initiative. Outside the study, Huamin gently knocked on the door. Qin Shu didn't even look up as he continued to read. Huamin was wearing a light pink, lacy, sexy nightgown. Zhu Lingling had bought it for her when they were shopping. Zhu Lingling told her that she would be able to make Qin Shu fall head over heels for her. This nightgown was translucent and faintly discernible. It was indeed very seductive, honey, Huamin purposely said in a coquettish voice. Her soft voice made Qin Shu's bones melt. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.